Yo, what is up, guys? This is the Damage Per Second podcast. Back at it once again, episode 82 out here. And I am your host this time around, SloMoBackSlap, here with my co-host who was 45 seconds late to his own podcast, Mr. Gaming Forte. What is up, bro? How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's going great, man. Like I told people on BRAP yesterday, you know, the best host, the best member, the amazing SloMoBackSlap is here, and he's making sure that we have an amazing show today. But I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous out here, and we do have a guest, a returning guest, probably the most appearances on the Damage Per Second podcast. Our homie from Brat Podcast, as well as the soon to be started Garage Radio Podcast.
In Florida, we have more carports in some areas. So I said the carport.
Carport Radio Podcast. Eric Jackson, how's it going, bro?
I'm chilling, man. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
Always love coming through. So is that true? Like, I've been on more than anybody else?
I think you have. I think you probably been on about like 3 or 4 times. I think maybe Deli might either have tied you or have surpassed you, but you're definitely in like the top 3. You know.
I feel honored, man. I feel honored now. For real. Again, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all. And since we talking about your appearances, what have you been up to since the last time you've been on, and what games you been playing?
It's just life, man. It's just life. I'm trying to think, when was the last time I was on? Have I been on in 2022?
You know what? I don't think you have. Not this year. Forte, has Eric been on this year?
Nope, not this year.
Okay, yeah. I think you went on a few times last year, but not this year.
At the very end of last year, like right going into Christmas.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, man. Just doing that life thing, man. Working new gigs and stuff like that. So blessed on that front. And just gaming wise, yeah, like last week tied up on the Horizon Forbidden West, got the platinum on that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I know we were talking earlier in the DM about it, and I'm not sure 100% how I feel about Horizon Forbidden West. I mean, I absolutely love Zero Dawn.
Oh, let's go.
I did have a good time with Forbidden West, but there were just some things I was kind of like, for the steps they took forward and fixing things like melee, I feel like they took some steps back, like especially like balancing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there's no reason just playing through this game and doing some side quests I should be level 50, like halfway through the game. And then, like there's some weird balancing on that. And then it's like some of the weapon system stuff. Like I felt like they did a better job of kind of, your progression in weapons. Like I would get a weapon, like say like a rare, because I mean obviously when you see the gray, green, gold, purple, weapons.
Your typical class system of weapons.
You already know. It's like, all right, so I got this green. I'm gonna put all my resources into this. I know eventually I'm gonna have better weapons, right? So when you start getting the rares, you're like, okay, I still don't really want to put resources in it because I know somewhere around here there's legendaries.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to me, that's a weird thing. It's like you got to figure out how to get that because it doesn't feel as engaging. I feel like I'm just kind of going through, but at the same time, the weapons don't feel like they're doing anything for me. And then it's not really kind of letting you know the best places to go find some of the gear. I think, again, I felt like Zero Dawn did a better job of kind of guiding you into some of that.
Really? Like, so, okay, so Okay, let's explore that for a second. Before we do explore that, though, I want to shout out some people in the chat real quick. Shout out to the first person here, Bunty. What's up, Bunty? Kay Asante from the Gaming Circle podcast is in the house. Shout out to him. Shout out to Everborn Saga, Everborn Sega, as I like to call him. The captain for Sega and Sonic 24/7. Shout out to Percolator 9000, who continues to keep lying about these Twitch channel points that he does not have. Shout out to Chris Singleton, Dut Griggity's in the house. Shout out to Dirt. Shout out what is his Monday podcast? It's Weebly Green podcast. Shout out to them. Shout out to Blade X. and Mickey Poo in the house, and Damon's Ghost. I'm about to say Demon's Ghost. Good grief.
Okay, you get it from me.
I know, I do. But no, like, so, like, it was interesting. You mentioned that, Eric, about some things that they did better in the previous game than the second game. Because for me, I felt like the first game had a lot of potential as far as an action RPG. And I know some people that might trigger some people, but hey, it is what it is, right? Anyway, it may, but like, I think that they took some steps forward in like visuals and expanding on the gameplay, and the melee combat was definitely lacking in the first game, and I think they did it a little bit better with that. But I feel like they took some steps back. I haven't finished it. I'm halfway through it, but from what I've seen, I don't like where the story went halfway through it, and I feel like they took some steps back on a narrative level, as well as just a number of little things that I just kind of felt like, this could have been done better, you know. So I haven't finished it yet, so I can't get my full actual like opinion on it. But like that's interesting that you see some things from Zero Dawn that you felt like Guerrilla did better there than they did with Forbidden West. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. When you do finish it, I'll come back on. And we'll dive into that as a segment, and
absolutely,
because again, I think it's a fantastic game. I mean, I honestly definitely feel it definitely got overshadowed. That seems to be the plight of Forbidden West.
Yeah, a big looming shadow. I wonder what that big looming shadow was. I wonder what that was.
I wonder what the next one's going to be when another 97 comes out at the time that Horizon 3 comes out.
Horizon 3 come out, then it'll be like with a Breath of the Wild 4 or something. I don't know, 3.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, like we definitely have you back on once I finish it, because we can have a nice little conversation on that game, and definitely maybe we'll have you on when we get down, like it's again later in the year when we start talking like game of the year kind of talk stuff. Because look, regardless of what people may say about Elden Ring overshadowing or getting more attention to Horizon Forbidden West, that game's a guaranteed game of the year nominee this year. Like it's a guarantee. Like it's not anyone who thinks it's not going to get at least nominated is tripping. They tripping right here. They
talk about for this year.
I don't know if it'll win.
Yes, yeah. What else? What year would it be? It came out this year.
I think if God of War comes out this year, it's not.
Okay, so like minimum,
like it might not win, but not
there's a minimum 5 games.
I think if God of War releases this year, then Horizon will not get. No.
Okay, so what other games are going to get now? Because like, now, bear in mind, Sony has had multiple first-party games get nominated for the Jeff Keighley Video Game Awards, right? So like, what other games would get nominated? We know Elden Ring for certain, right?
Elden Ring's going to be one. Maybe Starfield would probably be the other one.
Oh no! So Starfield would get it over Horizon?
No. I'm just. It was going to either be Starfield was going to be a part of the conversation anyways. We already know that. It's almost a foregone conclusion. Either the game
really
going to be a part of it. Yeah.
So even if it sucks, it's going to get a nomination.
Yes.
Right. So that's the Bethesda.
Yes,
the Bethesda.
Yeah, they're getting the front seat at the show, no matter what.
So you saying Bethesda
invitation, no matter what?
Yeah, Bethesda still has their membership in the round table of free passes. They still have that.
Yes,
you called that for. I mean, you called that slow. You said like now has that pass.
Yeah. I feel like they snatched that membership from Bethesda and they gave it to From Software.
No. Bethesda still has theirs.
I mean, we'll see, because.
So you're thinking. Well, no, I'll agree with you on that one thing. If Starfield's not nominated, then absolutely it will end up being Horizon, because there is not enough games.
But what other games? We've only talked about 3 games. There has to be.
Well, Nintendo's gonna have a game in there, no matter what.
True.
Nintendo will have a game in there.
What game? What have they come out with this year? What the Pokemon? Arterias, whatever it's called, whatever.
Arceus coming out They came out earlier this year, and they got the 2 Pokemon games coming out at the end of the year too, in November.
Okay.
So Nintendo's gonna have a game.
Okay, so you got Elden Ring, Nintendo's game. That's 2 games. That there is you said Starfield,
God of War.
God of War.
We have a release date for
That's
Starfield?
And what is the
yeah November.
And what is the
It is
token indie
November.
game gonna be?
Oh yeah, the token indie game, because there's always a token indie game.
what's the
Hey,
token
it
indie
might
game?
be this game that I'm playing right now. So I'm playing gameplay.
Yeah,
Truck the Yomi, which is like I'm very early in it. I've only played like 45 minutes of it so far. What I love about it is it's the artistic aesthetic. It reminds me so much of, like, I did turn off the film grain that made it look like a straight up like it was running off a 70s, picture tube TV, but it's visual aesthetic. I love it so much, and it's so different all around. Now, maybe this might get it, but I do agree with the people in the chat. Shout out to Blade X and Sam Walton. I think Sifu's a lock for the indie. For the indie nomination, your token indie. That's hey, thanks for showing up. Wave to everyone. Smile. Now go sit down because someone else about to get this award. Like, that's gonna be Sifu, I think. Trek the Yomi so far is cool, but Sifu is so, just off of very early on, I think Sifu's a much better game. That's it. That's not no shade to Trek the Yomi, because Trek the Yomi is cool. I like it. It's the combat's very basic so far. Like it's kind of like it starts to expand and give you more options as you go further. So I do like it, but it's like I don't think on the indie side of things that for Game of the Year it's going to get that token nomination over Sifu. So that's 5. So it almost seems to me, and I mean, look, Forte, it seems to me like you want to give anything these nomination spots over Horizon. Bear in mind, last year they had 6 games last year that got nominated.
I'm not saying that listen, I'm just saying if there's 5 games, somebody got to be on the sideline. If there's 5 games.
There's 5 games, but there could be 6.
If there's 6, then yeah. But I'm going off of the assumption that there's 5.
But why would you make that assumption when the very last year they had 6?
Because on average, how many is it? 5? They just picked 6 last year. On average, it's like 5, isn't it?
It fluctuates. It's a minimum 5. It's never 7, but it's always between 5 and 6.
Yeah, so okay, so if we wanna say we're both right, then that's fine. If there's 6, then it will get in there. If there's 5, it won't.
So people in the chat are asking, Forte, did you play Horizon Forbidden West, Forte?
It has nothing to do. I didn't play Elden Ring either.
So what game do you think is going to win Game of the Year?
If God of War comes out, it probably will.
But you haven't played any of the games that are going to be in that we're talking about.
Listen,
you know what?
Well,
it's
not out yet. Well, Starfield's not out yet.
Two of the games that are in the conversation are out.
Starfield, okay. And why did I not play Horizon? Because I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Which, have you beat Horizon yet, SloMo?
I said a few minutes ago. I'm halfway through.
You've been halfway through for how long?
That's not the point. I've been halfway through.
That game can take a while.
No, SloMo. No. That's the reason I asked SloMo, because we had this conversation on multiple shows where I keep asking him, SloMo, when are you gonna beat this game? Oh man, I'm playing Elden Ring. Elden Ring got me by the balls right now, and all this other crazy stuff. And I said, SloMo,
I've beat Elden Ring 3 times already. I'm about to beat it a 4th time with a 4th character. But look, but forget all that. Forget all that. Look,
what about that Tiny Tina? How far are you in that?
The very beginning. Look, I'm telling. Look, Tiny Tina is different. It's a Borderlands game. It is different. It's different. It's different for me because I am a big Borderlands fan. When I get into Borderlands, like everything drops. So I'm trying to finish something. Like I am intentionally not going back to it until I finish. I finish Horizon. because I know if I start Borderlands to get into, I will never finish Horizon.
So you know what that sounds, you know what that sounds like? So he can get the benefit of the doubt because he loves Borderlands, but I can't get the benefit of the doubt of the game that I love the most.
Because you don't play anything.
No, I play God of War. God of War will get played. That game will get put down for God of War.
God of War comes out once a decade.
That's fine. I play Halo.
Destiny has you again?
No, not really. I just ain't nothing. I just haven't really pulled away yet.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, let's see. The last couple of weeks, I spent probably more time working on podcast stuff and editing, like doing videos and stuff, than I've been playing games over the last couple of weeks. Honestly.
Shout out to Kay in the chat. I've also been doing what he's doing, playing around with my Steam Deck. Shout out to Steam Deck being the best handheld hybrid gaming console out on the market. The best. I played Have a Nice Death that just came out, where you play the Reaper. It's a side scroller. It's really cool. I've been playing that. I've played some of Xbox games through xCloud. Performance ain't that great. I'm not gonna get into it. I've also played a lot of Persona 4 Golden, which is like, it seems to me whenever I am not near my PC, I want to play it. And now that I got my Steam Deck, I can actually play. So I've actually made a lot of progress on Persona 4 Golden through that. What I haven't done quite yet is I haven't set up emulation through Yuzu for Switch yet. That's coming next. And then after that, after I play some of these Nintendo games that aren't made by Nintendo because their first party games are trash, and actually play some of the other games like Triangle Strategy and finishing Astral Chain and replaying, doing the last playthrough of Fire Emblem Three Houses that I didn't finish. I will also start using PlayStation Remote Play on it. And I'm posting all four screenshots of all four platforms games all in one tweet on my timeline to just trigger everybody all at once. It's gonna be glorious, absolutely glorious. Anyway,
Jesus Christ,
it's trying to have the perfect storm of fanboy anger all at once. Anyway, shout out to Red for me in the chat. What's up, Red? How you doing? Forte, I think we know what you're playing. You're playing Destiny.
No, your chat is toxic, man.
What?
You know, your chat is toxic. They ain't like this one.
That is our chat. Those are the 10%ers. Can you not speak to our chat like that?
Shout out to the 10%ers, man. I appreciate.
They are not toxic. What they are doing is that they're calling you out for saying certain games aren't going to get nominated that you haven't played, saying certain games won't win that you haven't played, for a game that you claim will be playing that will win that you also haven't played.
Let me ask you a question. If God of War comes out if there's 5 games and God of War releases this year, what 5 games are going to be game of the year? If there's 5 games, just
Elden Ring.
Okay.
What was it? Pokemon Arceus, whatever it's called. Who cares? Pokemon.
I can never think of it.
Yeah,
it's called Arceus. Yes,
Arceus. Like AC/DC, whatever his name is, right?
Pokemon Andreas.
Exactly, Saint Andreas Pokemon. Look, so Elden Ring, Pokemon Saint Andreas, God of War Ragnarok, Sifu as the indie token, and then number 5 would be Horizon.
Okay, so Starfield's not getting nominated. Okay, well, are you on the record? You're on the record for 5 games, saying for 5 games.
If it's 5 games, Starfield is going to be the odd man out.
Oh, okay.
Starfield's in November. Like they gave an exact day on November because I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it's early. It's November. What is it? November 22nd or is it number 12? November 12th.
Yeah,
it's the end of November. It's like usually
I would say that would be the only thing that kind of
it's usually that first week of December that's the cutoff, or the very, very end of November.
Okay. All right. Well, one thing I say about Starfield though, man, Starfield got a lot of
riding on it.
Got a lot of weight on it, bro.
Red
Don't
Infinity
skip
said
leg
no.
day, Starfield.
Red Infinity said no. Tunic. I would think that Tunic could be that token indie game.
It could be. It could be. I think the indie scene is going to be very competitive this year, and Tunic is going. There'll be a lot of games that's deserving. Remember the year? I think it was 2 years ago when Hades was nominated, and a lot of people were upset that what's the game that the little cute little like bright looking thing, and it was on Xbox. Ori, thank you, Ori. Ori didn't get the nomination, and it's like Ori was deserving.
Like both times.
Yeah, like Ori was deserving, but like so was Hades. So it gets kind of like I think if it is Tunic, I wouldn't be like shocked or like, man, like Sifu got robbed. It'd be fine, like it's as long as
we gotta make the history right on Hades. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to make sure that we got to get the history right on Hades, how that went down.
Oh yeah,
Hades was nominated. There's a lot of cats like, what's up with this BS Hades game? Like, why is it nominated in all these categories and this game wasn't? And then that joint hit Game Pass and dudes changed
their tune immediately.
This game's amazing.
This is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. Like, bro. You cursed the day that game was made 6 months ago. Now it's amazing. What? Huh? Crazy. Y'all know who y'all are. We ain't gonna say no names, but y'all know who y'all are. Yeah. We saw that. We saw you.
Mm-hmm.
I may have recorded 30 seconds of it. It might be in my archive somewhere.
It was none of the 10%ers, right? None of the 10%ers.
No,
right
none of the 10%. The 10%ers would never do such a thing. Come on now, not us. Come on. Anyway, like I said,
it would have been Game of the Year if Elden Ring didn't come out.
I think that's you could be right about that.
I think Elden Ring got it locked up at this point, and maybe it's just me playing the game 5 million times that I feel like it's got it locked up at this point.
I think the indie category, the category for indies is going to be interesting because there's some strong contenders already.
Very, very true. Very true. Shout out to Red Infamy and just said Starfield got a hit for real with a new engine, hidden story, and minimal bugs for it to spark. I so agree with you, Red, and I think the chances of a Bethesda in-house game having minimal bugs is about the same amount of chances that I have of like winning an NBA championship.
Well, that would be the reason it wouldn't get nominated. So you're saying it won't even get nominated if it's five.
If it's 6 games, it's gonna get in there.
Well, yeah,
now, Forte, let's go back to the Bethesda Pass for a minute, though, because you say they'll get it on the Pass.
The Pass is real. I mean, they get a fast pass.
Do they still have? Because again, SloMo's right. From took a lot of their shine away from them. From gets a lot of passes for their bugs.
Yeah, they do.
We call it the charm now. Mm-hmm. Right?
My cousin just walked in.
I'm your brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Wow. hey, brother-in-law, we doing the podcast, bro. Can y'all do that later? That'd be great.
He already left.
so SloMo with the From Pass, because they get the bug pass now, right?
Yes, they get the bug pass now.
Still get the Bethesda charm.
They do.
No,
be that. Like,
it's gone. That's gone. No. We saw that with Fallout 76, and yes, I know all the people about to say they didn't make the game. Doesn't matter. Todd Howard came out on stage. He did his usual spiel about Fallout 76. The game came out. It was exactly. It was super buggy. And previously, any games that they released that were always super buggy, it's charmed. Don't worry about it. People weren't having it no more. I think that has worn off. The charm is gone. Now people just see the bugs. Issues.
They had to turn in their school ID. Basically, is what you're saying?
Yeah. They got that. They got that. You ever see ATL when T.I. ripped the chain off her neck? That's what they did to Bethesda's pass. That membership pass. They ripped that thing right off. Give me that back. But no, I'll just talk about real quick what I've been playing, and then we can get into the topic. So you see, I'm playing, Trek the Yomi. This is the very beginning of the game. It's really, I like the story. It's very much a very like a samurai kind of story. It's the aesthetic. It's all cool. I think the
I'm
gameplay
enjoying
still
it so
needs
far.
to open up for me, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm still playing through Game Pass. Shout out to Game Pass for me being able to play the game. Devs got paid ahead of time, so I don't have to pay for it. Awesome. I've also been playing a game that I completely missed. It's going to be a topic later on. Furi. So I had no idea this game existed. I had no idea it existed. I completely missed it. And then when everybody started talking about it, I looked into it, looked at the gameplay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Bought the game, played it. I'm having a ball. I love it. So I've been playing that. I've been playing Rogue Company, and also been playing Halo Infinite Season 2. We're going to definitely discuss that later.
Never mind. We'll talk about it
You
later.
played it too. Stop it. Anyway.
I stopped too.
We're going to get into that later. So first topic of the night is the day before delayed to 2023. Now, some of y'all might be like, SloMo? The heck is the day before? Like, what is that? And so, yeah, I get, some people may not remember that game. My bad. I understand. All that said, the day before is a hybrid. It's like a hybrid The Last of Us and The Division. And this was like a Russian studio is making the game. Mytona, I think is the name, or Fantastic, whatever. Dev no one's ever heard of. The game looked interesting, but very scripted when they first showed the trailer. I'm showing the trailer right now. And I remember looking at this game and thinking like, yo, this looks really interesting. And I would love to play like a Last of Us Division hybrid game, because that seems like it seems like if they do it right, it's going to have elements of two games I really, really enjoyed in it. But from a developer that I've never heard of before making this massive AAA game, I'm a little skeptical. Now they came out, I think this was yesterday, announcing that the game is going to be delayed to March of 2023. A lot of people were a little confused about that, because they was like, yo, you're delaying it because you're going to change the engine to Unreal Engine 5, but it's only going to be delayed a year. Like, that doesn't make sense. I agreed, it doesn't make sense until I saw that the game was running on Unreal Engine 4. So this is more of their upgrading to Unreal Engine 5, which then also kind of makes more sense of why it's not going to be like, hey, another 2 or 3 years to get this done. My question to you, Eric, is do you think this is even going to come out? Like, do you think this game is like almost not as bad as Blue Box's game, but like, is this something that we're probably never ever really going to see, or do you really believe the developers and this is going to come out next year?
You said they're a Russian developer?
Yes. Oh, political stuff that's going on in the world right now. Yeah, that might be a part of the problems as well. Although they're not in the Ukraine, so
right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of that scenario all around might bleed over into some of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're on the level of Blue Box, because Blue Box is over there like making unicorns.
They've shown more than Blue Box has shown so far. They have a trailer here that's Blue Box ain't showed. They even showed this, so yeah.
And if and after listening to that Colin Moriarty interview with the sound, I'm like, yo, man, this dude's selling Affleck. Sure, for real. But no, I think it will come out. I think it will come out. The switch over to Unreal 5 is definitely plausible, because with us getting that information a few weeks ago, I can definitely see that actually being the case. So I don't know how much of column A, with the switch over is causing a delay, or column B, the political mess that's kind of going on that could be affecting them in some ways too.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's not Ukraine, it is Russia, but still,
They do have sanctions on them, and those sanctions might prevent the game from even releasing in many countries. Yeah.
Right. But by virtue of the fact that they actually had some stuff to show and talk about, that puts them ahead of the game of somebody like, say, a Blue Box. So.
Yeah. Forte, what do you think, man?
I didn't even know about this when I saw the trailer because it was something that I saw. I thought this looks interesting, and then I went and did a little bit more research and stuff, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff that they are trying to do in this game when it comes to just the overall MMO side of it and stuff like that. It's always been something that I was really interested in to see what they would do, because I'm a huge like Star Wars and the Old Republic and stuff like that. When it came to that, I put so many times, so I could get lost in an MMO when it comes to that type of stuff. And then this being grounded the way it is was really, really interesting. But they basically, because I just saw that they switched over their development to Unreal 5. Is that what it was, or what did they do?
They the game was initially being developed on Unreal Engine 4. They are moving it to Unreal Engine 5, and that's what the delay to March of 2023 is. Yeah. Now, I do agree with Red Infamy and K Asante in the chat that say, hey, look, it may get delayed even further from there due to the fact of the sanctions. And Eric's absolutely right. Like, with war, which is way more important than us talking about video games, but a war going on and people are refugees leaving the Ukraine and droves, millions of people being displaced, thousands of people dying. It's in all kinds of sanctions being placed upon Russia. Even though this is a Russian developer, we don't know exactly where they work out of exactly. Maybe they're working in a region that isn't going to get sanctioned, or maybe they are a Russian developer that isn't currently working in Russia. Who knows? I heard that the devs for Stalker 2 have relocated to a different country to try to work on the game. Now, I don't know that for certain, but that may help them be able to continue working on the game, whereas maybe that's the same thing that Fantastic, the developer here, may be doing. So who knows? I don't know. But
I just think in general, but you also got to think, because it's like everything in that whole area has been kind of impacted by all this. I mean, even you go look at what's going on with CD Projekt Red being in Poland, which is like pretty much right next door to it. That's the main reason they announced that DLC isn't coming out till next year for the game, because of all the stuff going over there. So I think just even being remotely inside of that area or that region of the world is pretty just problematic for anybody trying to do anything outside of what's going on. And plus, you got to remember, these people, video games is cool and all, but these people are fighting for their lives. They fighting for their land. They fight for everything that really matters more to them. I'm not going to sit here and try to, make and publish a video game when I don't know where my family is going to be tomorrow. So I think that has pretty much a lot to do with probably the delay too, because they want to kind of get all of that stuff, sanctions in a row and everything. But I think this is just the beginning of a lot of stuff that you see coming out of that region being pushed out even further. Like, I think this is just like anything else. They moved it just to give themselves room to be able to move it again to an actual date that's going to be more comfortable for them to hit once they get, more intel on how long this is going to last, because this could last another 3 weeks or another 3, 4, 5 months. We really don't know how this is going to kind of turn out for everything over there.
Right. I did want to hit some of these super chats because I didn't miss one earlier. Oh, I didn't miss it, but I didn't get a chance to get back to it. I didn't miss it. Be quiet. Anyway, shout out to the homie Game Over Brian with the $5 super chat. He said, "Hey bros, chilling with Pony Panel, click clack bros. Question for Forte: when upgrading Skywalker Lego Saga from PS4 to PS5, do trophies pop automatically?"
Oh man, you know what? It's like deja vu. I remember talking about this on Brap yesterday, man. I ain't heard any click clack jokes about updating games and getting trophies to pop. But you know what? Skywalker Saga, sir. First of all, you shouldn't be playing that on PS4 anyway. You should have just played it on PS5 right out the gate since it's available now. But yes, it will work. It will pop all of those beautiful trophies as soon as you put the game in. No updates needed.
Let me just clarify that here at Damage Per Second Podcast, we do not platform shame if you are still playing on the PS4 because you were not able to get yourself a PS5 that is in high demand yet very low supply. We feel for you, and we are not shaming you whatsoever if you had to play Skywalker Saga Lego on PS4 Forte. Anyway, shout out to Ramon Terrell with the $5 Canadian with saying 3 of my favorite people in one show. Much love, guys. Thank you. No, Ramon, thank you. And by the way, Ramon is the 2017 Hallmark Actor of the Year. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I do, man. I saw it written on some piece of paper back in 2019. It was great. I put it in my pocket. It was like somebody wrote it on a napkin, and I was like, I gotta keep this. This is great.
Yeah, man,
I'm telling you, he's gonna be in the next Tyler Perry movie, man.
Oh man, hey, I can't wait. You know, he'll be like playing basketball against Medea or something. I don't know. Anyway, my opinion on this, I'm still interested in the game. I did see some actual gameplay, but I couldn't find where the gameplay was. I know I had recorded it, but I couldn't find it anywhere on my PC. I think I may have lost it when I did some spring cleaning and updated, not updated, but reinstalled Windows 10. So I may have lost it, but I saw some gameplay that I thought was pretty interesting. It doesn't quite play like I was hoping it would play. It seemed, but it still looks interesting to me. I'm still interested in playing the game. There was a question earlier if it was just PC only. As far as I know, it's going to be available on all platforms. As far as I know, so there's that. The day before, delayed to 2023. We can move on.
Do you know? Did they say? Was there any hints at what like all platforms? Is it going to be just next gen only when it does release?
It's definitely next gen only.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not going to be. It's not going to be on PS4 or the Xbox One.
Unless it's streaming.
Yeah, but that's still not native.
That has to be native. You know, technicalities. Remember.
Up in the cloud.
Yeah.
Click clack.
That XCloud. Let me not get started because it ain't that good. It ain't that good. The latency.
Oh my God.
The latency would make you feel like you're playing the game in 1997. It's bad, man. It's bad. Anyway, look, let's talk about Nintendo, right? So it comes a point in time when everyone gets that smoke. And PlayStation has got it. Microsoft, Xbox has got it. EA, Activision, certainly Ubisoft. Everyone gets. If you have a really bad work environment, people going to talk. Eventually, they're going to talk to somebody, and turns out it is now Nintendo's turn to be called down to the carpet. Nintendo out here treating their contractors like quote unquote second-class citizens. I sent you guys the article. Did you guys have the opportunity to read it earlier?
No, I didn't get to read it in detail, but I was seeing the bits and pieces throughout the timeline and stuff like that, kind of piecing it all together. But
yeah. So to give everyone a brief quick cliff notes of what exactly is going on here. A lot of contractors have been leaving Nintendo of America. And it seems like ever since Reggie Fils-Aimé, I'm always Fils-Aimé. Well, I am definitely Forte today. Fils-Aimé. Ever since he left and Doug Bowser took over, there has been zero path to full-time employment, which is always like the carrot at the end of the stick for these contractors. And a lot of the contractors, they're the people who do the localization. They're changing the Japanese over to English, voice acting. Well, not Nintendo first party games, but with games that do have voice acting. Doing a lot of the customer service support kind of stuff for the Nintendo fans that have a problem with the fact like I can't get Bluetooth to work on my Switch. Oh, it's because you don't have Bluetooth on your Switch. Or hey, I can't message my friend. Oh, because you don't have messaging to message your friend. I can't find my friend's name in the Switch network. That's because you need to copy down his social security number. Like all those questions, right? That they have to answer constantly on a daily basis because Nintendo ain't really, up with the times, is what these guys do. Very, very, very important work. Now that said, they always have this carrot at the end of the stick when it comes to becoming a full-time employee. And they have this thing called lounge, Club Mario, where it's like a lounge. Look, I saw a picture of it. It looks beautiful. It looks great.
It looks good, bro.
Yeah, but if you are a contractor, don't you dare go in there. You will get written up for going in there. So only full-time employees. And they have like badges. So it's like there is a blue badge for contractors, there's a red badge for full-time employees, and then there's like the gold badge if like you're like Reggie or Doug Bowser or whatever, right? So
Doug.
Shigeru Miyamoto, he gets the gold badge, right? So the blue badge just can't go in there, even to the point like where these people have to apologize if they spend like 15 minutes extra on a lunch break, or if they had to use the bathroom, or if they got sick and need to stay home for a couple of days. They're like worried about being fired. So it's like
eye contact with people. They make eye contact with the people with higher color badges.
I don't know. They might have to be like just look at your feet, whenever someone shows up.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like they hired a guy named Bowser, and he's running, he's running Nintendo of America like a villain is, Shout out to K for that. But no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because what's wild is like, whenever some of these discussions go on, it's like it usually comes down to like Microsoft and Sony, right? Like who engages more, who talks more, who's out in the forefront of things and saying things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's always kind of like, Microsoft is always out there kind of engaging and talking, and you know who their personalities are and stuff like that. And then they say beyond like a Jim Ryan, there's really nobody at Sony that you really know. I mean, I should say you got Herman Holst and stuff like that, but Shuhei somewhere. They say he's in the building, but we have no physical proof of it anymore.
Right.
But Doug Bowser took the job. You don't really ever see this dude or ever hear from this dude or anything like that. Like Reggie was kind of like the face. Like he was kind of out there, right? Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, like, but nobody really kind of talks about that, like.
Yeah,
that's because Doug Bowser is more of the financial type person. The only time I ever seen him is I seen him a couple of times when he would come to our event, our conference event. He came to all of them up until the point that they started canceling them due to everything going on in the world with COVID and stuff. But he's like more it seems like he's more financial driven as the head man in charge right now, which you should be when it comes to that. But I do think a lot of people looked at Reggie as like kind of that bridge. Like everybody knew Reggie was all about the money, but like he was talking about in his breakdown of not recognizing the Nintendo that he left, having to buy monthly or bi-weekly or bi-monthly meetings and stuff, to boost morale, because he felt like, the only way you're going to be able to, succeed when it comes to like being a company like this is by, making all your employees feel like their input matters. And that's why he would be in attendance to all of those meetings and stuff, to make sure that people understood that he's there to listen to them, because that's the biggest thing that people don't realize when it comes to like the disconnect between corporate and the people that are working, on the ground floor, like the developers and stuff like that. Because, has Reggie ever coded a day in his life? We don't know. But for the most part, I mean, you probably would say no. He's probably never had to do anything like that. So he doesn't understand the plight of what's going on when it comes to all that stuff that they ask people to do. But by doing these type of things like that and including those conversations and giving them that type of ear, the morale stayed up. And you also can kind of see that it's a difference in the cadence in the way that they release the games too. Like they have released more Pokemon games since Bowser has been there than I've ever seen Nintendo release in a short period of time. And is there anything wrong with that? No, because people are buying them. But that just goes to the fact that they are definitely going after the things that they know will definitely sell their platform. Like it's more of a business sense than just, oh, we're just Nintendo and we got Nintendo Land where you can go and play with Mario characters and stuff at the playground and stuff like that. So I think that part of it is kind of, missed when it comes to a lot of people on the outside that just thinks Nintendo is just this bubbly place to be. It's a business like everything else, but I think Bowser is kind of running it that way, and that's something that a lot of these people that worked under Reggie hadn't felt in quite some time.
I want to also bring up something that I saw in the article that reminded me a lot of what we've heard from 343 Industries, and this in regards to how long contractors can work, because essentially what's happening here at Nintendo of America is that they are using contractors, temporary role position as a full-time permanent position without actually giving the actual employee the benefits that should come with being a full-time working full-time hours and yada yada yada. But like 343 Industries, like Microsoft in general, if you're a contractor in Microsoft, you can only work for 15 months straight before your contract ends. They can't have you work further on that contract. And I think there's like a minimum of like a 3 to 6 month cool off period before you could be rehired back into that role again. Nintendo of America has a similar process where I think it might actually be 2 years.
Yeah, 2.
So there's a 3-month cool off period in between contractors working for 2 years, which has caused issues where someone who is doing a position, they're a contractor, but there's an important position that their 2 years hits, they gotta be gone for 3 months. Now they're trying, either the full-time employees that are managing these teams are now having to fill in that role, which is extra work on them, or they're trying to find someone else to fill that role at the same time, and it's causing additional pressure upon everyone involved, full-time staff as well as contractors. And so I think what has to happen at some point, I think this is because this seems to keep happening in so many big corporations, whether it's in the video game industry or not, when you can't try to use temporary staff as full-time staff and expect to get away with it in the long term. You're going to have to start promoting people. And the problem was that Reggie, he gave some quotes in this article and said, I personally made sure that we promoted people who were around for a long time, did great work, and deserved those promotions. But it seems like since Reggie has left, that's no longer happening. What that does, that kind of demoralizes the people that are working there. They started working there thinking like, man, I always wanted to work for Nintendo. I've loved Nintendo forever. This is like my dream job. And then years later, they realize they're stuck in a rut. There's no way up. There's no way out of what they're doing. And it's further demoralizing when you're treated like a second-class citizen. You can't even go to the lounge where the full-time employees are to get food, nor do you even have the time to eat it. And then even when they wanted to do the Pride Parade, they didn't want, check this out, they didn't want the contractors walking with them at the Pride Parade. Imagine, you're walking for equality while you're actively engaging in inequality in your workplace. It's crazy to me that they didn't see the hypocrisy in that. And so it's just like, I think not promoting people who deserve it, not promoting your best contractors, the full-time employees, like that depresses the rest of the staff to thinking there's no real way out of where we are. But it also it rewards that's going to be the example to the rest of them. I could be like Susan, who just got promoted to full time. Let me work harder. Let me actually make sure that I do even better quality work so I can get that opportunity too. When Susan eventually quits because I wasn't going anywhere here. I've been here for 5 years doing the same thing. Nothing ever changed. I had the highest evaluations. Everyone loved me. They said I did great work. Still wouldn't make me a full-time employee. I left, went to a different company. I make more money, and I work less hours now. What do you think the rest of them are going to do? They're gonna go do what Susan did. They're gonna leave, and you don't want high turnover, because once that process starts, it's not a good look. Because then the quality of the actual department starts to go down. You start bringing in people in who aren't as good as the previous people. They're not as trained as well, and mistakes are made. So I just kind of feel like, I mean, what do you guys think? I've been doing a lot of talking here. I feel like not promoting staff is a major problem for them. Eric?
No, I'm 100%. Excuse me, 100% in agreement with you, and we've heard these stories before. Like, and it's not exclusive to gaming at all. I mean, this goes on in like all kinds of industries. It's like there's this thing with, you know, with contract workers where they're kind of seen as, I won't even say like necessarily like lesser. They're just not. You're not a part of the fold, so we don't really have to kind of, you know, interact with you, treat you the same way, do whatever. You're hired help. Essentially, It's like the maid or the butler or something. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like a weird vibe. That I'm still kind of stuck on the Pride Parade thing. It's like, we're out here like trying to get something done for everybody, but nah. You walk over there and don't.
Exactly. Apparently, they had to like run this up the ladder so that higher leadership had to make a decision on it. And why would that need to be necessary? You're supposed to be walking for equality, and you choose to be like, yeah, you guys walk over there. Matter of fact, you walk all the way behind us, okay? And like, I don't want you standing near me as we're like, what is that? Like it's amazing that people don't look in the mirror in some of these situations when you know you're supposed to be out here fighting for people's rights, and instead you're actively treating your own employees like second-class citizens in the workplace on a daily basis. It's crazy.
Right.
Forte.
And I'll say, like,
my bad. Go ahead.
Inside our world of gaming, because that's what we're keeping this to. Like I said, it's not exclusive to the gaming world. It is a thing, but we're keeping it in the focus of gaming. I think we're getting these windows into some of these companies, and I think a lot of gamers kind of conflate gaming, like the enjoyment of gaming, with these companies, and think that it's like some Xanadu type place to work, like some euphoria for everybody. And it's like, you know, it's like well, you get to create games, or you get to be involved with games with some of the biggest companies. Like, my dream is to work at Nintendo, and like you said, you get there and people are like, this is hellacious. This is not at all, you know, the joyous love and fun that we see in the kind of games that they create. Right. And I think, you know, and that's something that I've always kind of beat the drum for, and kind of tell people is like, you know, stop putting like executives in these companies and these companies in general, because you're a fan of them, on pedestals.
Facts. Speak on it.
You know, because at the end of the day, any mega company that's about making money has, you know, a vision for making their dough, and in a lot of stuff gets lost in the sauce.
Right.
You know, and
they're human.
Condition is
they're human. Exactly.
Right.
Like people deify these people that are just men and women in positions of leadership, and yeah, they may make great decisions for the company, and you may enjoy some of the decisions that they've made for your platform, or you may be the kind of person that's just like, doesn't matter, their team pick a color, I'm rooting for them regardless. But the fact of the matter is, they are human beings. Right. They make mistakes. They may not always wake up with the right mindset to treat everyone equal, or to do the best job, or to see that their job is the highest priority for them at that day and time. And, you know, like all of us, they fail, they mess up. And so, like, we have to start approaching these things with that mindset, instead of looking at things like, oh, well, you know, this is just IGN trying to doing a clickbait article. You know, like, I hate that mindset, because it's like, it's dismissive of the work that was put in, and the actual, like, people with quotes and evidence of what's happening. Like, you're just dismissing all of that because the platform is on. That's crazy.
It's just because you don't like the fact that they're calling out some stuff of the thing that you like. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, it's clickbait, it's this, and you feel like you got to send the squad after them.
Right.
And some of them do ask for it. I know there are plenty of times Kotaku has asked for it.
Oh, absolutely.
But there are times too where they moderately get it right, but their reputation precedes them. But again, it's like, and when these companies, typically the bigger you are, the more issues you're gonna have. It's just very hard to keep, the cogs moving in these scenarios, and things are gonna fall through the cracks. And I noticed, especially in the gaming community, people like to have the villain and the good guy, the heel and the face, and this and that. And I'm like, they're all scummy to me. I don't give a damn. And I understand that relationship. I get it. Trust me. And I understand it more than anybody because, we joke about this a little more. I'm an Apple user. I know exactly where I'm at.
I know exactly what Apple will do to me. Yeah.
Exactly, but for the nature of the kind of work that I do, that's what I've always kind of worked with, so I work around it. But I totally understand they are overcharging me for certain things, but the alternative is using Windows, and I ain't doing that.
So, they know certain things. They overcharging us for everything, bro.
100%. 100%.
You want some earbuds?
But
$500.
Relationship in that. I understand. They ain't here for me. They don't love me.
We taking the power cable.
If they do something that's perceived as consumer friendly, it's ultimately to benefit them, and that's every company. Stop this idea that it's like, they're looking out for us and they love us. They understand. Yeah, all of that is formulaic and all of that is scientific, and they know exactly how to, again, understand the goal is to separate a fool from his money.
That's true.
Yep. And we can
and coming at you sweet and rubbing your shoulders. And we're gonna throw up. Ultimately, somebody sat in the room and said, if we do XYZ, we should get XYZ result. And you play into that, So yeah, there's no hero and villain. They all can do that. They could all be better. Some of them do things right. Some companies do things better than others. But yeah, when you put that in the demons, one of the topics, I was like, who's surprised that this mega company that's been around since Christ has issues?
Yep.
A lot of stuff that has been egregious and just commonplace business if you've been over for generations, a lot of your stuff can carry over. We're moving into a place in the world, especially like post-COVID, where people are kind of waking up and going, hell no,
I ain't dealing with this.
I have value.
I think that's the key point right there, because people now have an understanding that you hold the power.
Right.
You have the power to erect these changes and stuff. And if and trust me, these places need you. That's why we're at a huge employment deficit when it comes to talent. People understand, like, I don't have to be here. I can go somewhere else. Like that whole, like, oh, I want to work at Blizzard and I want to work on this IP, or I want to work at 343 and I want to work on this. No, I don't have to do that. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. That changes as soon as somebody steals your breast milk out the refrigerator.
Exactly.
To get all that, I can go somewhere else. Well, my breast milk is safe.
Yeah, but I also think it just goes back to the point that people look at these situations and they're like, I tried to tell people like weeks ago when this whole Activision thing broke out last year, we told says, oh, you think that this is the only company? And then Sony's came out. Then we said, oh, you think, everybody was on Twitter. It's like, oh, Sony and this and Sony that. And I just sat there and I was like, okay, like sooner or later, something about your favorite platform or your favorite company is going to come out. And what happened? A couple months later, Xbox stuff started coming out with Microsoft. Now you're seeing it from Nintendo. This is just a never-ending cycle when it comes to all of this stuff, because none of these companies are really in it for you. None of them are they're in it to make money. They're in it to grow their business. The fact that people keep forgetting that HR is there to protect the company. It's not there to protect you.
Exactly.
It's there to protect the company.
Why you get those stories. That's why you get those stories, Forte, where it's like, how'd that happen?
How'd that happen? It ain't there for you.
And that's the funny thing too. I'm kind of glad you mentioned like the Activision thing, because I see people out there like, yeah, there is a world where the situation with Activision is we can agree it's 100% jacked up, and their situation could get better under a Microsoft. But these people painting this picture that it's going to be and marshmallow fluff and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are painting this weird picture. No, they could have a better work situation, but do you understand how big this company is? And the bigger your company is, you are going to have a dickhead that will do somebody wrong.
The blind spots everywhere.
Exactly. And SloMo, you remember this, especially right around the BLM thing. We had stuff going on. Remember the whole mixer thing? And that lady, she was like the executive there who was like giving people grief and talking her trash. And we don't know what happened from that. Like, we heard that they were going to address it and deal with it, but then they go. That kind of happened. Maybe she got dealt with. Maybe she got moved. Or maybe nothing happened to her at all. It's just not as much noise because something else comes up.
Right.
But never be surprised if a story breaks where it's like, somebody got jumped at Microsoft in the bathroom.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting.
I'm just saying, never be surprised when in a corporation for the good things that they will do. Never be surprised if some craziness jumps off. They're so big.
Yeah.
You're not going to always get it right. So stop putting them on a pedestal. That way you're not shocked and you're not hurt. I don't know why anybody would be hurt.
Why would be hurt?
People get these emotional attachments to executives and companies. I've never seen that in my life.
Well, I will say this. For the most part, a lot of these companies.
Forte, make this the last word on. I want to switch to the next topic.
Yeah. I think for the most people, a lot of people do attach to these corporations when it comes to the faces and stuff because they do a really good job of putting out, not all of them, but a lot of them. Like, think about Xbox. Phil does a really, really good job being out there. And I can understand why people kind of rock with Phil because he seems like he's very, very approachable when it comes to stuff like that. And is very charismatic and it kind of like pours through everything that Xbox is doing to what he does. But ultimately, you got to realize that it's not just because Phil's the top of it or any of these companies. There's people underneath him and then there's people underneath that person and he can't see everything. And that's the same thing with all the rest of these companies. Yeah. They can't see every little thing that's going on. As much as we always say, you are responsible for the things that happen on your watch. Sometimes stuff slips through and by the time it gets to you, it's way too late. And I think that's why people need to kind of look at these scenarios and be like, man, anything can happen to the company I rock with, but I can't be putting this type of energy out there, making it seem like this is something that I'm always behind no matter what.
Right.
All right.
And so I know you want to move on, Brooke. I just want to address chaos. No, I'm fully aware that Millie spoke on that on Twitter. That was a fully documented thing on his timeline. But that was my point, is after that, he kind of left it alone and left it there, but we don't know what happened after that fact. And not that we have to. I'm not saying that we have to. I'm just saying hopefully they did deal with it. I know Phil reached out, and that's a beautiful thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean Microsoft took care of it. That's all I'm kind of pointing out. So, it's just saying I wouldn't be surprised, whichever way it went. Just don't be surprised by it because these companies are huge. It's just that sort of thing, and the bad guy does not always get punished.
Very true. Very true. Before we move on to the next topic, did want to shout out the super chat from the Ashen Luca, $5 super chat. What's up, Luca? Appreciate the super chat. She said, "Yo, just got home from Multiverse of Midness." I think that was not a typo. I think she intended midness there.
I heard that from somebody too.
Yeah, I've heard some things. Not looking too good right now. Did y'all hear the news about Kevin Samuels? I did hear, although I didn't know whether it was true or not. I didn't see TMZ report it, so I don't know. But she says, "Hope you're having a great show, my boys. We are. Thank you, Luca." I did hear about Kevin Samuels. I ain't trying to really get into it. I don't want to I don't know for certain if he's actually passed away or not. So I'm not gonna really dive deep into it. But I did see some craziness on the timeline. Some people some people out here seem to be celebrating, popping champagne. It's a little wild. Moving on, we can talk about Prince of Persia Remake, which is
2025.
Boy, about this game. So this game, right? So Prince of Persia Remake was announced I think in 2020, 2 years ago. and they showed it to us, and I remember a lot of people kind of like laughing at how it looked, because it didn't look like a game that was supposed to be coming out anytime soon. It looked like a game that would be like early last generation game or a late PS3 360 kind of title. And I think that's why we got the news that we got today, that came in through the Prince of Persia Twitter account. It says, "Hello, Prince of Persia fans. The development of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake will now be led by Ubisoft Montreal, the very birthplace of the epic Sands of Time trilogy. This decision is an important step in the team building upon the work achieved by Ubisoft." I must say that word wrong. Pune? Pune? Poon? Poon? Plume?
Poon.
Poon? Like
Poon.
Poontang? Like
Yeah, the E is silent. Poon.
Poon. All right, look, I'm not trying to, okay, Poon. Ubisoft Poon and Ubisoft Mumbai will now take the time they need to regroup on the scope of the game to deliver you the best experience for this remake and an all-time classic when it's ready. We want to thank you all for your continuous support and patience, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. So, basically, they had to switch this off of the two dev teams that were working on the game and give it to Ubisoft Montreal, which is a much bigger team than those other two studios based off of what I looked up. Fellas, what do you guys think about this? Should this move have been made years ago? Forte, what do you think?
It should have been made a long time ago, man. They should, before they even announced it. They should. Why you at that? Okay, so shout out to Montreal, but it should have been in their hands in the first place, since they're the ones that they literally say it in the first paragraph. Is going back to where the birthplace of Sands of Time happened at.
And
so why weren't they? Why wasn't that the thing that was? Unless they didn't want to make it. Now that's the only thing I can look at. This is like, are they being forced into making this now because of the situation in the development that these other two studios couldn't handle it, and they basically went to them and said, "Hey, they're about to basically butcher your baby at this point. So what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to work on it, or do you guys want it to be basically canceled?" Who knows what that conversation is, but I just think that at a certain point, this should have already been in their hands in the first place. I wouldn't trust, like Prince of Persia, a lot of people don't realize this. That was a huge franchise back then. Yep. Huge. Like, we used to like Forgotten Sands,
that game was
Two Throne. Like, the games were those were like my favorite games back then.
Look at this game. Look at it.
I'm looking at it.
That's what I'm getting ready to point out.
I cannot believe. Look, I've said this before about other games that, like, when leadership allowed a game to be revealed, like, y'all didn't see this. Y'all didn't look at this ahead of time and be like, we can't show this. This is what you have. This isn't good enough. Go back to the drawing board, or I'm going to put this on a team that can actually deliver on an actual remake that looks like a remake of a game that's coming out in this decade, and not a game that should have came out 10 years ago. Like, Ubisoft has a lot of very, very beautiful game engines. You look at some of the games that they have, and you look at like the Division with the Snowdrop engine. You look at Assassin's Creed. You look at a lot of their titles, and you see what is capable with their visuals. Rising. Yeah, exactly. Look.
And that's what this game could have looked like. Just think about the art style. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this ain't it, bro.
Right.
Yeah. This is what you showed this. Like, it's crazy to me. Eric, go ahead, Eric.
Exactly it. That's exactly it. That's the question. I have when they showed this, I was like, okay, first of all, who allowed it? Like you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question I have is, okay, they're doing all this now, a long time after they actually showed this. I'm like Forte said, like, now you decided to do this? To me, this should have happened internally. Even show it. Like, we can't show this. We can't show this. So either A, who was like up at the wheel? I know they got their issues going on, or they were, whatever. So somebody was either sleeping at the wheel, or the finesse was in play. we're gonna show it. We'll see what the reaction is. If people are down with it, we're gonna go ahead and put it out and see what we get from it and do the finesse, right? But when gamers were vocal about like, hell no, that looked like straight garbage. Then it was like, okay, we're gonna hold off. We're gonna try to do this, try to do that. And then we didn't hear about it for a while. Now it's back, and they're saying now we're gonna move it to a completely different team, which I'm completely fine with. But why did it take so long?
Yeah.
You knew this looked like garbage. Ubisoft's been around long enough to know when they saw this ain't it. It's disrespectful to the legacy of this.
Yeah, very much so.
This franchise, which is beloved, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
crazy.
Were they trying to get one over on us, or were they just literally like, you know, not paying attention?
If they accept
A little
it,
bit of both.
if they accept it, hey, it worked out for us, so be it. You know,
Right, exactly.
and that goes back to leadership, because look, I'm not trying to knock the devs. They're doing the best they can with what they have. Maybe they just not really up to the task of really remaking this game into what will be like what people expect from a big AAA game. But then, like, they should have been even been given the tools to make it happen, or they should have been just kind of taken off. Maybe this is a support studio that should have stayed on support and not been the lead dev here. Maybe they just weren't ready for that kind of responsibility. But this all comes down to leadership not knowing their staff well and making poor decisions, which kind of leads us into our next topic here. Ubisoft acquisition rumors yet again, and this one is a little bit different. So now the Guillemot family, which the CEO is Yves Guillemot, his entire family has worked in the Ubisoft leadership roles, right? They are looking to partner with a private equity firm to acquire Ubisoft completely and to stop any more hostile takeovers. So instead of what we initially heard in reporting, where it seemed like they were selling to a private equity firm and that Ubisoft was going to change ownerships, it looks like instead what's really happening here is that the Guillemot family is trying to secure better financing to make sure that they fully own the company. They never have to deal with like that attempted hostile takeover by Vivendi like 5 or 6 years ago. So boy, yeah, this is, if you want Ubisoft to be a better company that treat people fairly, you know, no more rampant sexism and racism in their in their development houses, and actually started making quality games that aren't like a rehash or reusing the same game design from other games, this is probably not the decision that you really want. Shout out to Wilhelm screaming in the chat. What's up, Wilhelm? I'm kind of like flabbergasted that they like are doubling down on and trying when everyone else is trying to sell. Instead, they here trying to secure Ubisoft so that no one can tell them that they need to be making different games ever again. Eric, what do you think about this, man?
I can't figure Ubisoft out, man. It's like, what's the real deal here? It's like, yeah, like you said, a few years ago they were doing everything in their power, and it was looking real spooky for them, like on that hostile takeover front, right?
Right.
But that was also at a time where Ubisoft was considered like that. They were those dudes. That was that developer.
Yeah, they were cranking out consistent content. They were like dropping like 4 AAA games a year. And they were selling like crazy. All 4 games would be top 10 sold games of the year annually, at least on MPD. So yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but 100%. And they were also being, they were trying to still be more creative. You know, they had like they were trying like the indie wing where they were doing like Child of Light, you know, and stuff like that, which was a very interesting time with Ubisoft. And now they're like a shadow of their former self, right? So it didn't surprise me a few weeks ago when we were hearing about acquisition. We're all messed up tonight, man.
It's
acquisition
Forte, man,
rumors,
easy.
right? So again, was Eves asleep? It's like, where did the acquisition rumor come from, or the acquisition talk come from? And now he's like, hold up, no, we're gonna try to do this and keep this in the family. So who's talking to who at this company? They still sound like a hot mess.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I
Right?
can't talk about the stuff I've heard, so I'm not
Okay.
gonna say anything about stuff I'm not gonna say who has attempted this. What I will say is that from multiple different people who don't even know each other, I've heard that Ubisoft financially is a hot mess. Like it's like a teenager's room. It's like their finances is all over the place. There's no organization whatsoever, and they have like you people talk about, wow, like Microsoft Xbox is about to have, once the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King finalizes, they're gonna have 30 plus studios. Well, you know who almost has 30 plus studios is Ubisoft. They're close to that number. I think they're somewhere in like the mid-20s. They have a ton of studios all over the world, and they maintain well over 1,000 employees, and it's just a mess. It's a big mess. There's a lot of little studios here and there doing support work for this game and that game. It's a lot going on, and it's
from the development, they're a mess because they got games that they announced that we have not heard from again.
Yes, Skull and Bones is one of them. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Yeah, and so those games are in development hell, in limbo, and right. If they were better organized and better managed, they probably would have been acquired last year, I think. But it is what it is, and maybe this is the best way for them to secure some kind of like financial stability in order for them to continue doing business. But the problem here is that like they have a very similar issue at Ubisoft that Activision Blizzard has, where there are developers that don't want to work there because of their reputation, of how they treat people, because of the lack of creative freedom that they have, where developers have to, and this is not a exaggeration, introduce a character of color, and then they make sure this character is as dark as possible. They make sure this character is as dark as possible, so that as leadership reviews the build and starts asking for changes, that maybe by the end of it, that character, after all the revisions and them lightening this character's skin tone, that they still look somewhat of a person of color when it's all said and done. This is the kind of leadership that they have, you know.
What happened to this developer, man?
It's weird, man. You know,
honestly, maybe they've always been something of a mess, but they had like lightning in a bottle at one point, and then it just, you know, from there, like they just got more popular. They became, you know, they got bigger. I think their biggest issue is when they started just throwing, like, they were raking in the dough and just deciding that the best thing to do is just to make everything the same.
Everything the same.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and that's caught up with them because now, you know, gamers are fickle, man. Just like we have amnesia, we're also fickle. And it's like, you gotta do something to spice it up, and you keep doing the same thing, and then you start noticing like the systems are all in the same systems are in everything. It's like same crafting system, the same this, same that.
They have Ubisoft leadership has a habit of trying to catch the wave, but the wave has already come and gone. So like, you know, like let's say that they're like a surfer on the beach and they see this great wave just hit, and everyone is riding that wave and they're enjoying this, the biggest wave they've ever seen in their life, and they grab their surfboard and they're running on the beach out there. But it's too late, Ubisoft. That wave is, by the time you get to that wave, it's gone. You missed it. They keep coming up like, oh, battle royales are big. Let's make Hyperscape. Bombed. Why? Because you missed the wave.
Right.
Hey, let's do a hero shooter. Why? The hero shooter wave is over. You missed the wave. Like they keep doing these things, and now they're on this free to play kick now. Where people said, hey, look, we're tired of the way your games are. Okay, you're right. Our games are very samey. We're gonna switch it up. But instead of giving their devs creative freedom to make whatever the heck they want, they're taking like the game that's playing right now, the Division 2. They stopped, full stop, any content on this game, and then decided let's make a hour version of Escape from Tarkov, but in the Division universe. It's like, stop trying to, that's Escape from Tarkov, okay? That works for that game. How do you know that's going to work for you? Like, you can't just be copying everything everyone else does with zero originality and then expect to get the same results. Why would someone else who enjoys Escape from Tarkov play the Division Heartland, a knockoff of Escape from Tarkov, when they already playing Escape from Tarkov? They'll just keep playing the game that originated and does it better. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
No, that's just like, yeah, completely no sense. Because then I remember when they debuted Beyond Good and Evil 2, I'm like you said, they're chasing something that's already kind of like moved beyond them, and then now you've pissed off people who have just been simply asking for a Beyond Good and Evil 2, maybe a single player experience. Maybe you have some drop in, drop out co-op or something, if you want to do that. But people just really wanted to revisit that world and play the game with like Jade and the characters from that world. Now you're making it this weird thing where it's like completely gone scattered from that. And I checked out the minute they showed it. I was like, I'm out. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you got anything to say about this before we move on?
This is just it's stupid. Like, I was looking at some people in the chat talk about it, and I think it was KSID was talking about how Immortal Phoenix Rising was like one of the very last games that you just really connected with. It felt like this is a really good game. It doesn't even feel like it's made by the same developer,
because they had no faith in it. I have no idea how the game even made it to get released with the way they hamstring everyone. But that game, they gave it zero marketing.
None. Came out in December 4th.
Mm-hmm. I got an email. You know, we content creators here. I got an email from Ubisoft like, hey, SloMoBackSlap, you want a free copy of this game and potentially do a review of it? And I'm like, with my little channel, you thought of me? Really? Okay. I'm like, all right. What? Because like, you don't send me Assassin's Creed games. You know, like, I'm a big Division fan, and I do Division content, you know, pretty frequently when you actually showed some, and you don't send me stuff for that, but you send me this game. That's how little they thought about the game. Let's just get every content creator we can to take a look at it. And it turned out to be one of their most unique and highest quality games they've come out with in the past 3 or 4 years. And they're just dumbfounded because they gave it zero marketing. And it's just like, it just shows they're so far away from what the gaming community cares for. They just like, look, you're not going to catch lightning in a bottle with your charts and your spreadsheets that say what gamers care about. Pay attention to what gamers care about, what they're saying, not what your stats say, or your marketing firms that tell you what to look for. And you know, gamers are now they're all in the battle royale now. Yeah, that's old, bro. And not all of us ever even caught on to battle royale anyway.
I'm just trying to say, you're not going to compete though? That's the question. It's like, we're just going to sit here and like bow down and say, oh, well, everybody's playing battle royale. We tried to do it, but it didn't work. So try something else. Try something different. The thing is, as much as we rag on this company, there are fans of these IPs. You know, there are fans of Far Cry. There are fans of Assassin's Creed, fans of Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six is one of the
fan of all of them.
Yeah, Rainbow Six is a poster child of last generation on how it was able to make a huge comeback. And it just seems like ever since, like you said, and I think that was probably the best thing you said, E, ever since the situation where they got kind of called out on everything being the same when it comes to their games and stuff. It's like they forgot how to do everything. And nothing is easy for them to do over there. It feels like it's a chore for them to do just the little things that other developers do on a consistent basis at this point.
Right. And it's like SloMo said, like, if you're chasing like the trend, like you haven't planned for it, right? Like you see what's popping. So like, this isn't what we do, and we've seen it time and again. This isn't what we're known for. This isn't what we do, but this is what's hot. You're already late. That's not in your wheelhouse. That's not in your hopper. You're already late. So what you need to be doing is thinking about, this is cool. What do we take from this and make something that's ours? But nobody wants. They don't like Red said. Like a lot of these devs have peaked because they don't know how to. They don't seem to want to be creative. They just want to make the bag. They just want to get the bag that the other guy's getting. Not realizing that the other guy got the bag because he had lightning in a bottle. Yeah. You know, and it could fade. It could fade so fast. Like, I mean, we look at all these things that we've had and we've seen or whatever, right? And we thought it was going to be the mainstay. That's where it's at, and it fades. That's just the nature of things. Like human beings' condition. That's just how it is. It's hot at this moment. It could be a few months. It can last for a decade, but it'll fade, and the next thing will come along. And yeah, that's the same thing with gaming. You know, you just can't chase whatever the trend is right now. It's already done.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late to go build a game now that's going to take a minimum of 3 years. You know, and that's like lacking of a ton of content. 3 years, right, to be developed. By the time you get that game out, gamers have moved on to something else now. You have to be at the forefront of it. You have to be the innovator and not the chaser. It's not going to work out that way. And you know, I always hope that Ubisoft will figure that out eventually. And you know, I don't have any illusions to them actually figuring it out or anything. I just think that you know,
like I have no faith in them, and I expect it to be the dev that. I just knew, like when Ubisoft announced the game, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be heat. I'm gonna be there for it day one. I don't even think about them anymore.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I played from them, I played Immortals, and initially I was really feeling it, and then by the end of it, I was like, I just want this to be over because it's going on too long, and I could see the UB formula in it. I like the idea of it, but I said this would have worked better if it was pulled back a little bit. It was just a little like more. I won't say. Maybe semi-open world, but it had the whole thing again. Icons everywhere. It's the whole nine. It's the crafting. It's the this. It's the that. But it had like a little. It was different for them, you know, like in what they were trying to do. But they still couldn't help themselves to do their usual formula. I'm like, to me, that's the game that you go away from the formula a little bit.
Right.
That's the one you can take a risk on.
Well, I'll say this before we move on. Another thing that I've heard from multiple Ubisoft developers is just that it's like, and it's actually been reported on in some of the reports about Ubisoft internally, is that developers, the game directors, when they pitch these games to leadership, to the team that approves all this stuff, they have to add in elements that those people like. It's the same elements that are in all the other Ubisoft games. They know that their game won't ever get approved if they don't have those elements. So it's like the Ubisoftness of the game, the whole, you know, go to a tower, look around. Now it opens up the map and you got like all these icons. It's the same icons that were in the previous map that highlight a same side mission-y kind of thing to do. It's just, they love it, and they the only ones that do love it because everyone else is done with it. But we can move on to something that Eric, you actually have brought up as a topic to discuss, and I'm glad you did because you kind of prompted me to play the game, and the game's hot fire. I wish I'm 6 years late on it being hot fire.
6 years late.
But it's hot fire, man, and this game is Furi. And go ahead, Eric, tell us about what's going on with Furi and Xbox.
Yeah, so I won't say a surprise move in a way, but yeah, I guess the Furi developer, their name is escaping me at the moment.
The Game Bakers, I think.
Game Bakers, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
They're, interestingly enough, there's going to be DLC for Furi, right? but there's been a bit of outrage. I won't say fever pitch, but there's been some outrage on the timeline because this DLC will be skipping Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's gonna hit every other platform, I believe. Like it's gonna be on PlayStation, Switch, and PC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I want to kind of preface this by saying this. Like, I have Furi on PlayStation. It was a part of PS Plus. I have it. I've played a little bit of it, but I've never gotten back to it. This is actually reminding me, seeing this on the time, like, oh yeah, Furi was a thing, because that's how long it's been. This game has been out for a very long time, and it's gotten updates and everything else. So, and it kind of came to my mind was anyone who has purchased this game on Xbox, like legit purchased it and is a legit fan of it, like, I definitely feel for you. Like that sucks. Like that's where you want to play it, you want to get the achievements, you want to do whatever, and it's gonna miss. So the developer said that they just don't have the resources to support, to go ahead and support putting it on Xbox.
Yeah,
right.
I actually want to quote their tweet specifically, so that we don't take them out of context, or people think we are taking them out of context. They said, and this was yesterday morning, we have heard all of you who have played Furi on Xbox, and we understand your frustration. We are a small indie team, and we couldn't find the time and budget to make that port. Furi never captured a lot of attention on Xbox, and unfortunately, we had to prioritize platforms. We hope to be developing for Xbox again in the future. Thank you for supporting our games. And you can probably imagine how that how that was received. But go ahead, bro.
Right. So like I said, to anyone who is a big fan on the Xbox platform, a big fan of Furi, and was looking forward to this, that absolutely can be some devastating information. Now, apparently, there's not a whole lot of you who, are huge supporters of that game. Mm-hmm. So for them to come out and say this, I mean, I can't say, I don't think that they're making it up. I don't think that they're BSing, but obviously they're looking at the numbers and saying it's just not worth us putting the resources into it. So I've seen some accusations of people being like, that's not cool. There's this, they should be able to do it. They should be able to do whatever. They should just put it in Game Pass. And all these things, I'm just like, you're doing things that you have no idea what's going on. You don't know what their books look like. And you're making the assumption that maybe they tried to get the game on Game Pass, but people have to stop making this assumption that a dev can just call up Microsoft and say, hey, put my game on there.
Right.
Even though they have a game on there, they have Haven on there, it does not mean that Microsoft is interested in putting Furi there. Right? So maybe they did try that and it didn't work, right? So move that equation off the table. But the thing is, none of us can sit here and say what their financial situation is. To make business sense, they're obviously looking at it and saying it doesn't make business sense for us to use at this time to put the resources into doing it because nobody supported the game there, right? And quite frankly, and this may rub some people the wrong way, let's keep it a buck. If it's not going into Game Pass, if it was my position and I was doing this, I would look at the platforms that were in strong support of it, and I would probably put my focus there. And I would probably be a little bit more leery because there is a thing. Obviously, nobody was supporting the game on there. It's a 6-year-old game. There's no guarantee that people were going to run out and pick this game up because they dropped DLC on it, because if the interest was there, it would be there. So what's the first thing people might end up saying? If, hey, Furi's getting an update on Xbox, they're putting DLC there. SloMo, what's the first thing that people might say that you would see on the timeline? Oh, that's dope. That's cool. I remember seeing this game. I always wanted to try it. But I'll probably wait to see if it hits Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right. That's a consistent thing that happens.
Yeah,
right.
and
as a dev, when you kind of be like, and there's no saying that they may not ever do it. They're just saying right now, for what we're doing at this moment.
Yeah, they didn't close the door. Yeah, like it could definitely have the DLC, and that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about DLC. That DLC could show up on Xbox in the future, but what they're saying is that, like, out of the limited resources that they have, which is manpower, how they had to prioritize getting it ready for the platforms that they know they got the lion's share of their sales with, and unfortunately that was PC and PlayStation, and it was not Xbox. Now, I understand people's frustration with like, well, you know, I played this game on Xbox. I want to play this DLC, but like when I see people who I know have multiple platforms come with that argument, I'm like, bro, you know what you could do about this? You could, and maybe this is just me, but like when I enjoy a game from an indie small developer, I have no problem not only buying that game, but I buy it on multiple platforms. Take Hades for example, with and I bought that game on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. 3 platforms. I've beat it twice, and I at some point I will beat it on PlayStation. I beat it on PC and Xbox. Now I'm like, I had no problem doing that because one, I want to support the developer. I want them, you know, I want them to grow, and I want to be a part of their growth. But like, if the game if I'm the part of the very few that bought it on Xbox, but I want to enjoy this DLC. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna have to just go ahead. You have a choice here. You can wait for it to show up on Xbox, which could take months or a year or more, or you could just get it on PlayStation or PC. Like, it's really not the dire circumstance that, or to go after the developers and act like they disrespected you personally. I don't quite understand the rationale with that. Forte, what do you think, man?
Well, when it comes to something like with the whole store situation and everything like that, I agree 100% because I always find myself, even myself, and I have a lot of games and I buy a lot of games and stuff. I do find myself like, man, I might just wait for this to, you know, hit the platform and stuff, or hit Game Pass or something like that. I think in general, because I didn't even know about this game until he said something. Right? Like when he said that, I was like, what's Furi? So I went to go look it up, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then
it was a hot game when it dropped.
And I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even know about the whole story behind everything that was going on with it. So I just think it's just, oh man, I don't know. It's like, what do we think that just, like, why do we think things like this happen when it comes to the platform and stuff, or to the games in general that this happens to?
I think that there are certain markets and demographics where some genres may not be very popular, or if there is a low install base of a particular kind of gamer on one platform, then a game may not hit. Or if this came out in 2016, right? I don't know when in 2016 came out, but didn't Halo Guardians come out in 2016?
Yes, I think so.
Didn't when did Gears 4 come out?
Was that 2016 or 2017?
I don't think it was 2017.
Oh, you said Gears 4, right?
Yes, Gears 4.
No, that's 20. Yeah, it was like 2015.
Okay, so
that was 2016.
Okay, so look, these are two games that were big games on the Xbox platform. I'm not certain when this game came out in 2016, but let's just say hypothetically, it came out anywhere near a game that is only available on an Xbox.
Right.
It came out December 2nd, 2016 on Xbox.
Oh, that's already a bad
January
time.
20.
Yeah, that's a terrible time. No one ever wants to come out in December. But I think that like there's more to it than just like, oh, they don't care about us kind of mentality, which I mean, I think we should be far beyond that, especially nowadays where we're seeing the Xbox Series consoles are selling better. You know, if you look at, like, if you adjust it by the time period that has come out compared to the other Xbox consoles, it's outselling them all. Like, this is a great time for Xbox, even despite the fact that they don't have any first-party games that have come out this year. Like, why would you think that a developer would be like actively trying to ish on Xbox gamers? what they understand here is that, like, back when the Xbox wasn't doing that great, this game came out on it and it didn't do that great. So that is part of the reason why it is what it is. But like they're just trying to be able to get stuff out in a timely manner, make sure that the work they do is quality and not like a rush job, because they're trying to put it out on too many platforms. And I mean, this may seem like weird to some people. I sometimes be like, yo, like, especially for these indie devs, maybe you shouldn't release with all platforms all at once. A great example of that was Night School Studio, who's now owned by Netflix. When they came out with After Party was a buggy mess at launch. And I said, like, this is a studio that's like a dozen devs here. Why are you launching on Switch, Xbox, PC, PlayStation? You're launching on everything but a toaster. And it's just like, it's 12 of you. Like, you're gonna have it ready at launch for every platform, and lo and behold, I mean, I didn't think it was as good as their first game, Oxenfree, but at least Oxenfree wasn't a buggy mess, and After Party was a buggy mess. And so it's just like, when you're a small dev, like, you probably shouldn't try to act like you're a bigger developer that has the resources and manpower to make that work.
That's true.
And that's the thing too, is like, everything isn't like a slight. So you said it like best. Like, I saw, and I know we're picking on some of the timeline, but I saw people who I know are multi-console owners, and they're people who have been out there that say, well, I own everything, so I don't miss anything. And it's like, I understand preference and wanting to play on the platform you have, but if you really, really want to play this game, you're not going to miss it, because you do have the opportunity to play it somewhere else. It may not be where you prefer initially, but you can play it if it means that much to you.
Yeah, it's not an expensive game. It was like $20-$25. Like, I bought it this week. And,
it's $20.
Yeah, it's $20. It's come on now. Like, it's giving me like Death's Door vibes, where people acted like, man, you know, Death's Door sounds amazing. Everyone's loving Death's Door, but I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass. It's $20. It's not a $60 or $70 full price game. It's $20. You're not going to spend $20?
Well, people don't want to spend money now, especially on Xbox, if they don't have to.
All right. Well, you know, I think that's very unfortunate, because it was going to do on Xbox. It's going to limit the options that developers have. That, whereas, like, if you're not on Game Pass, then what are you?
And SloMo, I want to actually like touch on that for a second before we move on, because, you know, by nature, again, the human condition is an interesting thing. People talk up the things that make something sound as positive as possible, right? So we always hear about how, you know, games that hit Game Pass, you know, typically do pretty good for the developer. I wouldn't say, I mean, nothing is ever 100%, so there's probably definitely devs who don't necessarily feel the same way, and we've heard those stories too, right? So I said, if you're building this platform, and I know Phil is on record saying they're not necessarily, Game Pass isn't the only way that they look to deliver games. It is a means of delivering games. But let's be real, Game Pass is becoming a bigger thing for them. It is becoming a huge identity for their platform, right? But gamers on it, typically, who want to defend it, only think about what it means for the positive sides of it. You know, as how developers do on it, right? We've heard stories where there's PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, whatever, that when you're an indie dev or dev in general, it is very hard to get front and center for somebody to find and recognize your game, play it, buy it, the whole nine, right?
Yeah. There's no platform that seems to be doing it easy for developers, indie developers right now. Yeah.
There's a world, and people may not like to hear it, where it can become even more increasingly difficult for a dev on the Xbox platform. They don't get to get into Game Pass. That's just a reality of it. You know, like, what do you do? Because now you're not just competing with a storefront with other devs who are trying to get their game seen. You're competing with gamers who are going to look at Game Pass first. So even if your game hits, it looks pretty good. And we saw with Death's Door, you're 100% right. They had the evidence of people telling them this is well worth your $15. Don't sleep. Don't wait. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Go buy it. And what people still say, I'll wait.
Yeah. And it's
So,
like, and you know, it's
have more devs who are going to look at that and go, nah, I don't know. You know, I don't know.
yeah, and I don't want to, because it's your choice, right? It's your choice as a gamer whether you want to spend your money up front for a game or wait for it to come to Game Pass. If you are the kind of person where you see a game and you look, that looks interesting. Like, listen, you're looking at the Furi gameplay right now. I really thoroughly enjoy playing the game, but maybe this isn't like really your cup of tea. You're seeing some Returnal vibes here. You're seeing some Hades vibes here, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not all in on that. Right. And maybe that's not for you. Maybe like you think like I might try it later on. That's fine, because like, hey, look, even before Game Pass, there were people out here who were like, that's a Black Friday game. Remember that? People would say it's a Black Friday game. And so now people just say it's a Game Pass game or it's a service. I'll wait for it to show up on PS Now / Game Pass before I try it. That okay, but we're not really talking to that gamer, because if it's not for you, it's not for you. But we're talking to the gamer that's like, this is right down your alley. You can't wait to play that. You played the game 6 years ago and loved it. Like, you understand this is any developer that can't do the same things that EA or Activision will be able to do. Why would you limit yourself to not playing the game when it's available and supporting that developer in any way possible to make sure that a developer can continue to make quality games for you?
Right.
I don't get it. Maybe I'm different. When there's a game that I want, I buy it.
Yep. Same.
Forte, you got anything else to say about this before we move on?
I think people, I just think in general, people just, it's not that they don't want to spend money, because saying people don't want to spend money on games, I think is asinine, because I do think people do want to spend money on games. It's just that now that we're in this ecosystem where you can try it before you buy it, when it comes to, like, it is real easy to do, especially in a service like Game Pass, or whenever PlayStation situation actually comes up with their PlayStation Premium and stuff like that. I think it's kind of warped people's expectations of games, because I even talked about this a long time ago, being somebody that works in games and stuff. When it comes to like working at GameStop and stuff, I got to the point where I kind of didn't even value games that were given to me. Not saying I didn't appreciate them, because everybody appreciates getting stuff for free and stuff like that, but it was like more of a situation where it's like, do you really care about the games that are just kind of given to you versus the games that you go out and spend your hard-earned money on? Like, if I go out and like, I play Destiny. I actually bought every copy of Destiny, even because when Sony was giving it to me, they gave it to me on PlayStation, but I play on Xbox. So I played it. I bought that game to play on my preferred platform. I could have played it anywhere. It didn't matter. Same thing with a lot of other IPs. God of War. I went out and paid money. They gave me a free copy. I gave it away on my channel at one point to somebody, because I went out and bought the collector's edition because I'm a fan of that game. So it's like you have a deeper value to the games that you actually pay for, and I think that's kind of being missed inside of these conversations when it comes to that now. But I do think people want to buy games. It's just that it's just so easy to like look at a game now, says you want to play it, but you don't want to pay for it. Not at the price that it is right now. And I'm one of those people, like I argued about Returnal and stuff. Like, I don't feel like it was worth $70 for me to go out and pay $70 for that game. I ended up still buying it. I bought it when it was on sale. It was like for $40. And I said, oh, I'll pay $40 for it. That's fine. But I think that's even part of the situation too. A lot of people just have, a number in their head what they're willing to spend on a game or something like that. And now that the barrier entry is like technically your membership to whatever service you have, that's kind of like the breaking point for a lot of people. And I think devs are looking at that, gamers are looking at it, and we don't know how that's going to transpire over the course of the rest of this generation going into next.
Very,
Yeah.
very true. Let's move on to Square Enix. Surprisingly, Square Enix. Hey, you're calling
They're not
trash.
trash. They're not trash. They're actually really good.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Square Enix sells their Western developers. That's Eidos Montreal. That's Crystal Dynamics, and that is what is the fourth one? Third one. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name.
Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and oh shoot,
I can't remember.
Oh.
The third one is the one that does the Thief game, right?
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up real quick.
can't
Give me a
either.
second. But either way, they sold these developers as well as 50 IP, and that and included in that 50 IP is Thief, Deus Ex, and Tomb Raider as the biggest of the well-known of those intellectual properties. It's a Square Montreal. Thank you,
Yeah,
Big
Square
Bad Mo.
Montreal.
See, the 10% is always here to help us out. Always here.
Shout out to Big Bad Mo, man.
So they sell them and their IP to Embracer Group for the total price of $300 million. Now, in context here, okay, let's talk about some other acquisitions that are around that price range. Sony acquired Insomniac Games for $225 million, I believe. So this is just.
And that was with no IP.
That was no IP, just a studio. This was $75 million more. And I think the biggest shock here wasn't that they sold them, but that they sold them for that price. So I know some of us have already talked about this multiple times throughout the week.
That's fine.
Let's start with you, Eric. Is this a good move for Square Enix?
I get. Let me say this. It's a good move for them if they are in a position where their money's looking funny,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to get some things off the books, either for an acquisition or they're about to go in a different direction, and it kind of looks like they might be. But some of the stuff that they want to focus on, we'll get in more into that. But yeah, if some of that acquisition stuff is true, then it makes sense as well. But yeah, we talked about it too, man. It was like the CEO of the company he always seemed to have like a disdain for the Western side of the development.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost like I just picture like Money Mike and next Friday. He's like, I am tired of your presence. Dismissed. It's like. But I know business doesn't work that way where you're that petty where you're just like, I'm gonna take a loss or whatever the case may be. I'm still trying to understand it. I'm still trying to figure out how, like, even with people saying like those IP aren't necessarily the most valuable, they're for the most part dead. That's still kind of crazy that many devs plus the IP went for that price.
11,000 devs.
Went for that price. That's like they went on eBay and bought them. Right?
At a major discount.
Yeah, and now the flip side of that, and we'll get into that. We'll get into the Embracer part of it, but yeah, I guess it's a good move for Square, but I'm just trying to understand what's their end goal, what is the end result. Like, I don't feel like we got the whole story here. Like, there's something up with Square. There's something definitely going on.
I agree. Before we get to that, Forte, do you think this is a good move for Square Enix?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, is 300 million for all of that? I feel like you could have got way more. I also, and then I just also think that have we been looking at this kind of wrong? We were talking about, how with like WB and everything, how it looks like they're auctioning everything off independently of itself. They're not, not one company is going to buy everything. Could we be looking at a situation where Square is kind of doing that without pretty much saying that? Are they like breaking up the company in smaller pieces and selling it off as, different parts as wholesale as the whole entity. You know, that could be another thing, because I know we're going to talk about, you know, the Sony side of this, what could be actually happening and stuff.
But why would they do that though?
That's another. Well, you got to also think too. There's been so much commotion around sales and everything when it comes to Square, like Tomb Raider not selling well, Hitman 3 underperforming. We're talking about games that sold 2, 3, 4 million copies, where most studios celebrate that. You know, they celebrate that a studio sells that many. It came out that the reboot franchise of Tomb Raider sold 38 million copies over 3 games.
Yeah,
That's like SloMo. That's like an average of 13 and a half million copies per game.
Yeah.
And that's not successful. So
it's successful in the sense of, if you just look at it in a vacuum. When you look at what they projected and what they told their investors it was going to sell, because like this is very similar to, like, for example, Anthem, which no one thinks is a successful game, and neither does EA. But EA projected Anthem to sell over 10 million in its first year, and it didn't. It missed that mark, but it still sold more than like, if you looked at the year Anthem came out, I think it was 2019, right? If you look at that year, Anthem's in the top 10 of games sold that year. So it was still in the top 10, but still considered a disappointment based upon how long it was in development, based upon how much money EA spent on it, and based upon what they told investors it would do. When you disappoint investors, it hurts your evaluation. So based upon what you tell them. In the future, you can say, "Hey, we're gonna do this. We got a new project here. It's gonna cost us a lot of money, but we're gonna make even more money off of it." And because you consistently are evaluating stuff wrongly, that affects how investors decide to actually invest in your company. They may decide you're full of it, Forte, because the last 6 times you said that it didn't work out the way you said it did.
Right.
Now, that's when they say it's a disappointment, they're not talking to us who may really enjoy those games. They're talking to John Smith, who is contemplating pulling his money out of the company. So that's who they're talking to, which is, like, again, a problem I have with these companies, because they seem to be far more concerned with what the investor thinks instead of what their actual customer thinks, us, the gamer. It's both of you seem to allude to that, like, this doesn't seem like the end goal. Like, this doesn't seem like a move you make in a vacuum, right? So before we get to that, I did want to kind of flip it to the other side. Do you think this will work out best for these studios, that have now been acquired by Embracer Group? Do you think that this means for them that they may actually potentially not get called out in an investor meeting and say that they failed to live up to expectations? Maybe this means that they won't be openly said that they aren't suited to make a live service game that they never wanted to make in the first place.
Right.
Like, E, what do you think about that? Oh, wait, before you do that, shout out to AW with the $5 super chat. Thank you, AW. Okay. Go ahead, E.
Yeah, I know we have our feelings about these acquisitions, and in particular, like, companies like, Tencent and Embracer, or whatever the case may be. But when you look at what Embracer's kind of doing, like through like THQ Nordic, they're really holding down that AA space. You look at, like, Kingdoms of Amalur, you look at Destroy All Humans, things like that. Those games definitely have a place, and they're definitely important, and I think that's what these studios are suited for. So maybe in the long run, this will be, I'm hoping this will be that thing to where we may finally get to see, the return of Legacy of Kain. Games, because they seem to be very much about the games of yesteryear and bringing them to a new audience, and also satiating the fans who remember those games, and kind of doing them in a good way. And it's not like they bullshit them. They actually put thought into them, then, you know, and they do pretty well, you know. So on that regard, yeah, save the children from Square Enix, who has no idea what to do with them. You know, these studios have talent. They are, and the IP, in my opinion, is only as valuable as the team or the management that has them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're only dead because of these lofty, ridiculous ideas of what they should have, you know, brought in based on their names, whatever. But at the same time, did you do everything? Did you give them all the resources they needed to deliver that? Did you give them the marketing that they needed to do what they needed to do? You know, don't situations that aren't right for them. And we'll say it again, like with Anthem. It's like, we knew that. It's like, you're putting them in a situation. That's not what, I'm not saying that a developer can't break out and do something different, but that's not what they do. And then you're going to push that on them and like make them go that route, like with Avengers and things like that. Everybody that plays Avengers says the same thing. This would have been perfect if they weren't chasing Destiny or something like that.
Right.
Yep.
And if you play that game, you could almost tell when, like, where they were in development when Square was like making the live service game, because the very first like 2 or 3 missions, you're solo.
Yep.
Name a live service game where you can't play with other people for portions of the game. You don't get to actually play with other people until like the 3rd or 4th mission, and even then it's like just 2-player co-op. You don't get to 4-player co-op until like well over half of the campaign is over, and it's a very good campaign. I love the story,
Really good story.
And it's just like, so what like, it's obvious to me that Crystal Dynamics was developing this as a single-player game, and then at some point in time, Square Enix was like, "Hey, live service games are the new trend. You do that." They pulled the Ubisoft on them. And we've always talked about how if you want a developer to get out of their wheelhouse and do something different, if you want them to pull a Respawn Entertainment, if you want them to pull a Guerrilla Games, like, you have to actually fund that studio to make sure that success works. You have to actually allow them to hire developers that actually have worked on those kind of games before, so you don't end up making the same mistakes that everyone else has already learned from and don't make anymore. You need to actually maybe start a whole separate studio the way Respawn did to make Jedi Fallen Order, instead of having their Titanfall team working on the kind of game that they have really no clue on how to make. That allowed Titanfall team to make probably the most profitable game outside of a sports game that EA has in Apex Legends, while your other team was able to work on the game that is something new from Respawn. Like, they didn't allow them to do that. Instead, what they did was they basically was just like, okay, Tomb Raider guys, go make an Avengers game that's live service, that's multiplayer. And yeah, we know you don't know anything about how to get live service games working. And we see even now Sony acquired Bungie with not just because of Destiny, but acquired them because of their expertise in live service games. They Sony recognized the value of it. I wish Square did, because maybe the Avengers wouldn't have been the disappointment that it was. I would have preferred if it was just a single player experience. That would have been best for me, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Everything there is good, like the gameplay and everything else. And even if they just made it like a drop in, drop out co-op game, if they wanted to do that, they probably could have pulled that off a little bit better. You know, because then you get Guardians, you know, from the other team, and Guardians was dope.
Yes.
Imagine that was Avengers.
Yep. And what was Guardians? A single player game?
Yep.
Imagine that. And also, what happened with Guardians? Oh, when they first showed us Guardians, everybody thought it was going to be a disaster. Why? Because of how they showed the game.
Yep.
The best parts of Guardians is the how they adapted those characters for the video game, how they captured the personalities of the Guardians, how like all that stuff worked, as well as like the amazing visual aesthetic and all that stuff. Instead, the very first time they showed Guardians, they gave us 7 minutes of combat gameplay, which is literally, it's not awful, but it's the worst part of the game.
Right.
So you don't know anything about how their games worked. You didn't know what was appealing about their games, and yet again, here's another a publisher that doesn't understand how the game industry works, or why people enjoy the games that they sell. And you know, like I would say, yeah, look, this is probably best for them. Like, we don't know Embracer Group like that. Like, we don't know if they're going to stay out of the way and let them be creative and let them make the games that they know how to make. We don't know this, right? But we know Square Enix wasn't. So like, I think this is a good benefit to them. Now, my final question on this topic for you guys is, we all kind of see that like this isn't the end game for Square Enix. Selling these developers and 50 IP at $300 million. Even they may say it was for NFTs and blockchain, whatever. I don't believe that. I think you don't make that kind of sell, undervalue your assets, so that it almost seemed to be like something you were trying to do as quickly as possible, without there being like another shoe to drop. Who thinks that they might have been just positioning the company to be sold? Anybody? Anybody?
The way it looks to me, that's what it looks like. It's like, we got to get this off the books to make this more appealing, because it's almost, I won't say, like, depending on who they're selling to, it's like a redundancy. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying if it's Sony, yeah, of course you don't need Crystal Dynamics. You got Naughty Dog. Of course, if it's Sony, of course you don't need Tomb Raider. You have Uncharted, which they're both very, very, very similar types of games, and they are almost completely like clones in game design. They do a lot of the same things. You don't need Lara Croft and Tomb Raider when you have an Uncharted franchise that you're clearly not going to give up on. Makes sense.
That's where my head goes. I mean, I could be completely wrong, obviously, but that's kind of where my thought process went.
But then, okay, we can look at the sales disappointments of Guardians and Avengers, but who's the only other publisher that has released at this? So we know there are other publishers out here or devs that are making superhero Marvel games, but who's the only other publisher that has made already superhero games? Sony. So, like,
why wouldn't you want something like Guardians under your umbrella?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you want Guardians under your umbrella? Maybe you could actually create your own MCU, own your own connected universe within the video game industry. So, like, the Guardians actually would maybe at some point interact with Spider-Man or Wolverine or whoever, you know?
Well, my biggest thing is, and I agree with E to an extent, but it comes back to, they didn't have to, it was like Crystal Dynamics didn't come with Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was just added as part of this deal. Like, it's not like Crystal Dynamics had to, like, if they sold Crystal Dynamics by itself or just Tomb Raider by itself, I think it's a lot. I think a lot of people putting a lot of stake in the fact that Tomb Raider is Crystal Dynamics and stuff like that. And I think they could make something else. And that's where I think SloMo like kind of hit it on the head. It's like, why couldn't Guardians be something that's also part of, you know, I mean, you wouldn't get the rights to it because that's something that Marvel owns, but they already have a very, very good relationship when it comes to Marvel with the superhero IPs and stuff. So why wouldn't they make a decision like that? I just feel like at a certain point, unless you feel like the talent isn't there, then you're willing to move off that. Maybe Sony wants to purchase it at a cheaper price. And Ubisoft is, I'm not Ubisoft, and Square is like, well, not with these IPs, we ain't. So, you know, at a certain point, Sony has a lot of IPs and they have a lot of studios, but it just seems really, really weird. Then it just makes even more no sense that Ubisoft, not Ubisoft, I keep calling them Ubisoft, Square Enix has what is it? They have Crystal Dynamics working with Microsoft on a game. So it's like it's just all over the place when it comes to this. It just makes like kind of no sense. It just seems like Ubisoft. Oh my God! Why I keep calling them Ubisoft? Because we talked about Ubisoft for 20 minutes earlier today.
Right.
And they doing the same things.
Yeah, they're doing the same things. But it just seems like Square is just kind of floundering. You know, when it comes to like everything that's going on inside the company, like we always want to like, okay, is Crystal Dynamics on the out with them? Is Microsoft trying to purchase them separately? Then we find out that Embracer's coming in through the back end, and Embracer's been on a spending spree for years now. And people aren't really paying attention to it because guess what? They're not like Tencent or something like that. They make these acquisitions and then they basically disappear. They did the same thing when they had Deep Silver. When they purchased Deep Silver, they pretty much purchased them and they disappeared. Gearbox, same thing. Purchased them, disappeared. Nobody really, it's like that overarching entity that nobody really knows what they're doing. And it seems like they're just a collector of talent that people don't want anymore. And that's what Square feels like they're doing when they get rid of all of these different, these three studios. And is it to make themselves more attractive for somebody to purchase the rest of the company wholesale? That could be the move. We actually know that Sony has a really good relationship, especially around marketing, and they are willing to give them games to put on their platform. But I just don't know if it's just that it's more of a Sony thing, or is it just the fact that they just wanted to cut the fat on the things that we tried this already. Let's try to move on from it, recoup some of the money that we lost on all these IPs, like Hitman, like Tomb Raider. And we think that those IPs have kind of seen their best days. And let's move on and start producing stuff that's going to be more mainstream in the future. Like you said, when it comes to like the MMOs and it comes to like the battle royales and stuff like that, and the service-based games and stuff like that. Maybe even the whole intellectual properties when it comes to games like IPs like Marvel and stuff. Maybe they don't want to be in that business no more. Maybe they want to start something completely different. I think there's a lot of different ways this could go, but I think it's more than just Sony or somebody else trying to purchase them. It might just be the fact that they're trying to get off the money of these IPs that they don't think are going to be successful anymore for them.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think either way, we're gonna find out before this year is what Square is really up to. Whether it and look, I don't believe NFTs and blockchain is really the reason why they did this. I think that was very just something that they were already invested in and interested in doing, and there was an easy scapegoat to kind of hide from wherever else is really going on. Maybe there'll be more things sold because they still retain Life is Strange, Just Cause. They still retain some IPs, and like what the difference between those IPs and others could be that hey, Life is Strange is pretty successful, so maybe that's why they kept it. But either way, let's move on to our final topic of the night: Halo Infinite Season 2. I think we need to address it. We need to talk about it, man. Now that started this past Tuesday, 2 days ago. We've discussed prior to this in the past episodes how the roadmap for season 2 looked pretty sparse. You know, not a lot going on there. Not a lot of information. Not a lot of content being delivered to us. Only 2 maps, one for Big Team Battle, one for Arena. They did add in King of the Hill and Last Spartan Standing and Land Grab, I think was the other mode.
Land Grab.
And Forte, tell us how you feel about the. You played it, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you play it?
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we gotta check out here. Yeah, you're right. We gotta check out here. Shout out. Speaking of which, shout out. Has Erodimus been here?
Not tonight. No.
Oh my God, we done ran Erodimus off. I'm sorry, Erodimus. Go ahead. What you think, man? Go ahead and finish.
So,
What did you say?
Give me your thoughts on season 2 and overall, and are you first question? How did you enjoy season 2 so far, and are you going to continue to play it?
No. I'll start from the back and move to the front.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to say will I play it again because the season is so freaking long, and I might get the itch to want to just jump in there whenever it's some new update. And plus, it looks like we're gonna get Forge at some point this season, because this season lasts to the end of the year pretty much. So I'll definitely jump back in whenever stuff like that happens, but just to play season 2, more than likely not, due to the fact that there's just not enough there at all. It's like I stopped. Me, you, and Luca. We were looking at our stats yesterday. We were looking at when we stopped playing the game. I stopped playing the game January 24th. At that point, I pretty much got everything I wanted to get out of Halo until we either get a new story beat or we get the new season that comes around.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the promises that were pretty much broken over the course of a 3 to 4 month window. Ever since January, we were told that this is coming at the beginning of this season, or this is coming towards the end of that season. And then to kind of find out that, our seasonal format is, just for the first season is going to be 6 months, and then after that it's going to be supplement 3-month seasons, and then to come find out it's going to be 6-month seasons. And it's at a point now where I just say I'm kind of tired of the back and forth when it comes to just the game in general. Now, a lot of things can be saved when it comes to this game, because I don't think this game is doomed or anything. I just think it's not in a place right now for people to truly enjoy it. I enjoyed Spartan Standing when I played it. I played about 4 or 5 matches of it. It was fun. It was cool. But the moment I stopped playing that, it went into the regular player pool, like quick play and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was instantly just reminded of, this is the same game that I literally stopped playing January 24th. There's nothing else different. There's no weapon rebalancing to the point where I feel like it's substantial enough.
Oh, they did some balancing. It may not have been
I was about to say.
Yeah.
I said, when it comes to that, they did some balancing to like the skill movements in the game, where people actually learned how to be.
They did weapon
like
balancing as well for the BR.
Oh yeah, for the well, you're talking about the difference between competitive and
yes, and social
play.
Yeah,
which is the most craziest thing in the world, because why should the game feel different? You would think quick play, I get quick play is supposed to be an arena where you're supposed to just jump in, enjoy the game, and have fun. But quick play is how people learn how to play the other game modes. That's where people learn to want to be better and want to jump into the competitive playlist. But it's 2 different ways that the game plays with the same weapon. It's like, why do I need to have an extra headshot in quick play, but in rank I go down faster? It doesn't make any sense. It just throws off. It almost makes you say, do you just promoting you play one or the other? And I get that if you're the type of person that just plays nothing but rank, or a person that plays nothing but quick play.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that a lot of people don't do. Shout out to Deli. I know Deli doesn't play nothing but ranked, and that's all I kind of play. But it's just kind of jarring to see that them make moves like that. And then, like I said, on top of them moving stuff when it comes to the skill moving in the game and pretty much nerfing that into non-existence, that's another thing that doesn't sit well with me. And then you just go back to the whole thing with Halo Master Chief Collection getting a major update when your game is not in the best of states. I understand that those updates were something they were working on months ago, and they were getting delayed and pushed back due to everything going on in the world when it comes to the studio and everything. That's cool, but it just doesn't look good when a game that's almost 10 years old at this point came out in 2014, so it's 8 years old. It's still getting major updates where your pristine, brand new IP that just released, or not IP, but just brand new version of the game released, and you're still doing that. That just doesn't look good to me. So I'm just more of a holding pattern on this game. I'm definitely I don't not like Halo. I just don't like the direction Microsoft has kind of went with it. I'm on record many times saying that it feels like Microsoft cared more about selling 20th anniversary mugs than they did about the state of this game being playable and people enjoying it in 2022 at the end of this year than they were saying, hey, let's just not release it in 2021. But once they put the date on it, it was kind of set in stone. And I try not to blame 343 for that, even though I do feel like there is some incompetencies that's going on inside the studio. I don't blame the developers. I just blame management when it comes to that. But that starts with Microsoft. And I know people are going to sit here and say, well, Microsoft can't fix everything. And I'm just like, well, when you spend $500 million on something,
well,
and it takes
allegedly.
When you spend $500 million on something allegedly, and then it takes 5-6 years for you to make it, and then you have a brand new engine change, and then you have to delay the game, and then you know the game still ain't in a good place, and you still announced a launch date for it anyway. This just goes back to, this game was supposed to release in 2020. What was this game in 2020 if we didn't see what we saw back then? It's
well,
just
saying to all those people.
We just keep pushing the can down the road. So I just choose not to participate in what Halo's got going on right now. I look at that season pass and I almost bought it. I was like, I'm about to buy the season pass. I said, you know what? Let me play this game first and see if I really like what's going on in it. And it's not that it's bad, because it's not bad, but it doesn't feel like anything new. And that's the thing that's missing, something new. And when they bring something new, I think a lot of people will be more happier.
I know you are not, you haven't really been into Halo Infinite like that. Have you played the game, or have you played Season 2 at all?
No, I have not played Season 2 at all. I have not played Halo Infinite probably since January. Probably dropped off in January.
And you have no intention of coming back?
I kind of take my cues from like you guys and people in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not cappers. I'm talking about legit people who actually voice their opinion, like Luca and everything else. Like, if people say, like, yep, it's on point, it's on point, then I'll go in. And again, I'm careful with how much I talk about the multiplayer aspect, because I'm not a big multiplayer person. You guys know that. Like, I'll come in and have some fun, but I'm more of a single player person. Everybody knows that.
Right.
But I'll jump in and have fun. And I was having fun with the when it first launched. I thought it played excellent. And the gunplay is there. All that stuff is there. All that stuff is, like Forte said, though, I started looking, like, I didn't buy the battle pass, because I was looking at it, I was like, why is this priced this way? Like, it's almost like they're saying, like, if I just want to buy this portion of it, and let's say this right. It was kind of, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like it was priced where you had to kind of add more money and go ahead and pay for the whole thing. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, okay, I'm going to do this portion of it and then I'm kind of good or whatever. It was sort of like, no, you have to, why can't I just pay this price for this and be done with it? Why do I have to add this extra price if I just want that other portion too? I hope I'm making sense of what I'm saying. It just seemed weird the way it was set up.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, I get you.
And then the stuff that you were getting in return, I was like, this doesn't seem like it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
To buy this, and I know we have the term like ashy Spartans and stuff, and then the grind of it. I was like, I'm a person who does like some cosmetics. That's one of the things I love about Destiny. You want to look like a sports car,
right.
And it's just like, got the battle pass, I should be able to earn or get some of these cool things off of that, but going to spend more money to get that. And I was like, I thought they kind of said that that's the stuff that they were trying to avoid, or set themselves apart in a way. And I was like, okay, I mean, I have no problem buying stuff, because I know you know, I'm not gonna put the kind of hours into it like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll buy this and that. You know, I won't go too crazy, but I'll if I feel a thing that is good, I'll put the money into it. Some money into it, I should say. Not a whole lot, but yeah. I'm not getting the vibe that I need to really worry about season 2 yet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know what?
You know.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, so like I played all Tuesday night on it. I played some by myself, then I played some with Enrique and Game Logic. So I played some with friends, and then I played some with just me solo. Now I'm the kind of person, I play a lot of multiplayer games, as you guys know.
Yep.
I enjoy the competitive thrill. I love to go up against other people. To get the feeling of mastering a game, or just progressing and getting better. Like I like that, right? So much so that when I do enjoy a game, and this, don't get me wrong, Halo Infinite has awesome gunplay. It's the 343's best take on making Halo when it comes to the gunplay. They nailed it. It's amazing. My issue though is that when I'm not having fun and there's not enough content for me, if the content gets stale, I will not completely stop playing the game, but what I'll end up doing is that I will be like, well, if other people want to play it, I'll play it. And that's where I'm at with the game. That's where I'm at with Halo Infinite right now. Because when I played those first 5 matches, I was first match I was knocking the rust off. Second match, third match I was pretty much leveling out. Then I was back to how I was performing in it like a few months ago before I quit. But I'm playing solo and I'm just like, I'm seeing some of the same issues that I was seeing when I stopped playing the game. One of those issues is desync, where if people in the audience don't know what desync is when what you're seeing and what you're doing is not being relayed to the server the game is running off of, and it also isn't being relayed to the player that you are going up against. Desync is when our homie Taz put a clip on Twitter of him using a stalker rifle and headshotting another Spartan 3 times. The Spartan that he headshot had no idea Taz was even shooting him. He shot him directly in the head 3 times, then jumped down to ambush him, and then the guy just turned on him and killed him almost immediately. It was as if Taz could do no damage to this man, and he couldn't. And those are the issues that you see crop up. Like you run up on a guy and you melee him and nothing happens. Like, that's frustrating.
I remember that happening. See, that just goes to show you how much multiplayer knowledge I have and how much I actually play. I didn't realize that's what that was, because I swear there would be times I would just straight melee somebody, boom, and they just run through me. It's like, what? Yeah.
And this,
I got you now.
Yeah, the new map reminds me of a map from Halo Guardians. I can't remember the name of the map. I was gonna go back. I reinstalled Halo Guardians with the intentions of playing on that map just to see how similar the new map is to it, the map that they use for Last Spartan Standing. Last Spartan Standing, I played 1 match in it. I came in 3rd place. It was all right. I mean, it's definitely not as people were describing it as a baby battle royale. No, it's not. But it's not a terrible mode or anything. It's all right. It's an all right mode. What I don't particularly care for is that it's only on the new map that they created. It's not.
So it's not on it's not on the other maps as well?
No, it's not on the other big team battle maps. So it's only on that map. So if you don't like that map, then you're probably not going to like Last Spartan Standing.
Isn't that like a momentum killer for something like that?
It can be. I then went on and I played with other people. Like I said, I played with Enrique. I played with Game Logic. We had fun. And we had fun because we were winning. We were bodying people, and we were just kind of laughing and joking and talking amongst ourselves and critiquing the game. But that part of it just kind of just like solidified to me. I can only have fun with this game right now as if I'm playing with other people who want to play the game. Because when I'm by myself, I have no one to talk to, and I'm not like engaged and actively like focused on winning, focused on getting better, focused on like feeling the need to go into training mode and work on me shooting like the Spartan bots, like the highest difficulty bots with a particular weapon that I want to get better at. Like, I don't feel the need to do that because I just don't care for this game as much. I sent a message in a DM to the Spectre's crew, the Leash and the Scum, and the message I sent was about a tweet that I saw sent out from Rogue Company, a game that you guys see me putting gameplay up for often, and I'm probably gonna put gameplay of it before the show's over. But Rogue Company's a dead game. Like, I will freely admit the game is dead. And Rogue Company died because they failed to succeed at one or two things, and these things will end the multiplayer game if you do not address them as quickly as you can when your gaming community that enjoys your game brings these things up. One of the things that Rogue Company failed is getting rid of cheaters. It doesn't have, it's not, cheating isn't rampant in Rogue Company anymore, but it was rampant at one point. So much so to the point that nearly every match you went into, someone was using wall hacks and aim bots and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like, when that happens, people they skedaddle. They get up out of there. They move on to something else. And oftentimes, when people leave your game, the majority of them don't come back. This season 2 didn't get as big a spike in the player base as you would have expected for a new season occurring for a game that is less than a year old. Like, I know Steam isn't the end all be all, because there's Xbox and there's also the Windows Store players playing it through Game Pass, not Game Pass, but the Windows Store on PC. But like, Steam only got a bump of 10K players for the second season, out of the fact that at one point they had 250,000 people playing the game. So it's just, when you don't have a ton of content, you don't have a lot of reason for people to feel like they're missing out by not coming back. This is what happens. And yeah, I'm just at the point where they don't know how to fix desync, and that's annoying. And you can't have performance issues. It's another cardinal sin of a multiplayer game, that like, when people know that the game isn't working properly, they don't want to, they will stop playing your game. And these are things that 343 have to address. And I honestly don't have faith in them actually addressing these things in any kind of timely manner. So for the time being, for me, if people want to hit me up, like if OBM, One Bad Mother, shout out to him, says, hey, SloMo, I'm trying to play some Halo Infinite, I still got it installed, I'll join it with him. But if I'm playing a game solo, I'm playing a solo shooter, I'm probably playing Rogue Company and Splitgate right down instead of Halo Infinite.
That's interesting, SloMo, because I know like BG is a big multiplayer guy, and BG is a guy who's solo a lot, and BG has always maintained, and he still says it like to this day at times, like, if you feel you have to have your crew to play a game with you, like you have to have friends to play it with you, is it really fun?
Right. Because you and your friends can have fun doing anything.
Be an additive. Yeah, they should be an additive to the fun that you're already having, and just increase that. But if it's the only way that you can get through it is because I'm just in here with my boys and we're having a good time laughing and joking and stuff, that's different versus when you can just go into something solo and play it and you're having a good time whether they're there or not. Yeah. So that is a big factor. That is a huge factor to it. But
I did want to add real quick. I brought up Rogue Company not because it's a dead game that I'm still enjoying, but because Rogue Company has a team within High Res Studios that develops and maintains Rogue Company. That team is called First Watch Games. First Watch is like less than 100 developers. Okay.
Right.
Now they are much smaller than 343 is. Let me tell you what's coming out now. They've already just started a new season in Rogue Company. As a mid-season update, they are already dropping a new map. They're making changes to in-game, the in-match stuff, adding an MVP lineup. They're adding new cosmetics outfits, dynamic scoreboards, a new narrative event, and dynamic in-game music. This is all as a mid-season update. That is more than half of what 343 is adding. That's let me say more. Probably half of what 343 is adding for season 2 is what Rogue Company just dropped out of nowhere. Hey, look, this is what we're giving you guys next week. And this is a studio that has far less resources, far less money, and far less bodies than 343. So what, like, I bring that up because we often get into these conversations and debates when we talk about, like, well, people say, well, what do you want from 343? What do you want from it? What do you mean it's not enough content? What do you mean? This is what I mean. Because when you play other multiplayer games, this is what you get. You get constant updates.
Yeah, that's where, like, again, I don't make too many comments on all the multiplayer issues, but I'll make comments all day about a huge studio that belongs to a multi-trillion-dollar company that gets outpaced by smaller devs.
Yeah.
Right. And like Forte said, and we've said it ad nauseum, what were they going to release when they first showed this game? And we had all those cappers out there saying, I don't know what you're looking at. That looks like more Halo to me. It looks like Cloud. I'm like, that looks like garbage, whatever they just showed. And when they delayed it, the story changed. Oh yeah, delaying it is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then when people past that were saying this still is looking spooky, then maybe they need to continue to delay it. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. And here you are. You can't say, well, what do you want from 343? Like, it is what it is, and this and that. No, Halo is very important to Microsoft, apparently, because it's tattooed over all their stuff. Mm-hmm. It's important to them. When dudes like to brag on Microsoft money when it comes to acquisitions and saying that other companies can't keep up because they don't have the funds, but then want to play the victim and play like they're being bullied when they don't deliver on something. And it's like, so how come the Juggernaut pockets don't apply to these things?
Yeah,
it goes to show it doesn't matter. Money is not always the great equalizer. Talent is.
True.
Because you have developers who do a lot more with a lot less. Mm-hmm. And when do you stop making the excuses for 343? Because I remember I made a comment about, when we got these messages saying, well, this is going to be delayed, this is going to get pushed back. And you made the comment, and I had dudes, now we're in this world, Forte, where everyone has like these lofty memories of Bungie, and Bungie wasn't that great when it came to Halo. What? No, that's one thing we're not gonna do. Well, right. Halo 2, when it came out, it got panned. Okay, yeah, I remember people having issues with how Halo 2 campaign and stuff like that went, but they didn't have a problem with the multiplayer. They didn't have a problem with the multiplayer in 3. True. But I said, if you want to talk about the games that got panned, that's the fault of the Halo community that have this death grip on letting any of it change, ever. You can't do anything change. And anytime a change was attempted, that's when it got panned. When they decided, we're not going to focus on Chief in Halo 2. We're going to split the campaign with him in the Arbiter. It wasn't until years later people were like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember that. That's pretty cool. It got panned back then. What was the next game that got panned? ODST. Why? Because it didn't feature Master Chief. People feel it more now than they did back then, but I remember it got panned. Oh, because we're not playing as Chief. It's not a good game, right? What was the next game? And again, people have short memories on this, and they put on the green tinted glasses. Reach got panned. Why? Because it didn't feature Master Chief. It featured other Spartans, but as history time has moved on, the revisionist history on that is Reach is a fire game.
Yeah. Well, let me I always
Go ahead.
thought Reach was a fire game.
Me
I
too.
felt
love
like,
Reach
man,
from the rip.
I love Reach's campaign, and I was all up in that multiplayer. So yeah, but yeah, I feel you, E. I think it's look. I just literally as you were speaking, I got an update on my timeline. John, the community manager for 343, is addressing the jamming of the battle rifle. Because so like mid-match, the battle rifle just stops firing. Apparently, I haven't seen this. Hasn't happened to me because I haven't played enough of season 2. But this is a bug that has been introduced after the season 2 update started. Like I was playing with Logic and Enrique 2 nights ago. Logic didn't join us right away because he was busy trying to troubleshoot why he was playing on PC with Enrique all last week up to the update, and then the day the update goes live, his game won't launch no more. So he's trying to troubleshoot how to get his game running, and it's just, were you ready? And your season now, like we were under the assumption that season 1 was 6 months because you weren't going to get co-op out in time. And you didn't. And now season 2 is 6 months and co-op's nowhere to be found, and it's going to be added in August, September, somewhere in that time frame. But does anyone really believe that? Like, when you keep missing deadlines, people stop believing you can actually deliver when you say that you're going to deliver. And you know, I don't want to keep going too hard on this because I've kept you far longer than I intended to. We're going on 3 hours out here right now. But
good conversations, man.
Hey, that's what happens. We have a great conversation with great people. But I think all 3 of us are pretty much like, you definitely weren't going to play it. Me and Forte tried it, wanted to give it a shot, but as of now, it's maybe I'll come back when co-op is back, because I got some personal friends that have been waiting, haven't played the game at all, have been waiting for campaign co-op so we can play it all together like we normally do. So, you know, maybe I'll unless people want to hit me up and say, hey, let's play some co-op together in multiplayer, I'm not really going to bother with it too much until that happens.
Yeah, because I like to do the co-op, you know, like hitting it with legendary and stuff like that, you know. But as a campaign person, you know, I overall enjoyed the campaign. I wasn't overly enamored with it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Sounds like again, you know, the gunplay is good, the story's pretty decent, and the open world is what it is. It's not. I mean, you hit points where like you got to get back to the battle area. It's like, is that really open world? And it's the same pockets of elites and grunts that you run into across the map. And literally, I just got to the point where I was running across the map. I was like, I am not getting a vehicle because this is garbage.
Yeah, and the vehicle, the warhogs that can't run over rocks. We could be here. We could be here all night complaining about this shit.
I was like, I'll grapple across the map. I'm good.
Yeah. Fortunately, you got anything else to say before we move out on
nah, man, this is nah, man. We don't need to look. Okay, I guess I will say this one last thing. 343. People believe, there's still people out there that believe in you. You're never probably going to listen to this podcast, even though we hope you do one day. There are people out there that truly believe in what you can do, because I feel like there is something there, because we haven't had terrible experiences in every Halo. You just never put a perfect one together yet.
Right, exactly.
And that's the thing. I think that's the one thing that is super disappointing about all this. And we understand that, you know, COVID and everything, working on a new engine, not being ready to, you know, work from home and all that other stuff. We just be transparent with the community going forward. That's all we really want. We just want to know what reasonable expectations do we have on when we're going to receive content. You know, if that is the case, and they start being very upfront and forthright with that information, I think we'll be good. Because I think in general, the reason a lot of people aren't feeling this is there's just nothing there. People talk about, well, Destiny this and why you can play that all day. It's the same stuff over and over again. But the problem with that is every time there's a new thing that pops in Destiny, if I don't like that new thing, there's a bunch of other stuff that I do like that I can go and still play. That's the difference. You added something to the game that some people may not like at all, but then there's nothing to fall back on. So that's kind of the thing that you kind of need to think about going forward. You know, let's get the base experience where it needs to be before we start thinking about all these other things, like get co-op out the gate, because that's the stuff that people want. And I think we'll be in a better place in 2023, maybe 2024. But that's all I got.
All right.
Well said, man.
Yeah, very, very well said. We can move on to these outros. Let me shout out to the 40 people watching us tonight, the 10%ers. We appreciate all you guys for coming through. Thank you once again for another amazing chat on a Thursday night. Eric, let everyone know where they can find you and what you got going on in the future.
I just say thank you for again having me. Thank you, chat, for having me. It's been a great night, great conversations. Always love chopping it up with you guys. So definitely appreciate that. Other than that, yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. Just trying to be on there and make people laugh, have a good time. Not get into these console war arguments and debates. Just try to make the timeline a little more fun. That's usually my goal. But other than that, you can also find me on the Gaming Perspective podcast Tuesday nights, I'm all turned around. Tuesday nights at 8:00.
Nice.
And Brap on Wednesday nights at 9. Yep, there we go.
Man, do more podcasts in slow-mo.
Maybe.
I remember when I was there. It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, man, that was a time when y'all were on tour.
Woo, man, we out here on tour, not getting paid for it.
You're right. And after a while, you be like, I'm gonna play some games, man.
Right, you gotta play some games.
But nah, thanks again, guys.
Hey, no problem, bro. No problem. Forte, what you got going on for the rest of the week, man?
Actually, yeah, play games, jump into some stuff. I'm working. I guess I'll say it on here first. I'm splitting my channel officially.
Okay.
I'm splitting my channels up. Since I'm getting really back into the whole content creation thing, it's kind of my channel is so all over the place when it comes to like just content. I got Destiny stuff on there, I got PlayStation stuff, I got Xbox stuff on there. Unboxing videos are on my channel. I'm about to condense all that stuff to like its own singular purpose. So I made a completely different Destiny channel for my YouTube. I actually changed the name back to my gamer tag, what it was before I changed everything over to Gaming Forte. So Xbox content will still be under.
What's the name of the channel?
Nautical.
Okay.
I just changed it to Nautical. It will be live tomorrow because I'm actually making a banner as we're doing a podcast. I'm just like editing and making a banner for it. But it's like that will be live tomorrow. But Gaming Forte, which is where everybody comes now for like the podcast, for Xbox stuff like that, that will all still be on the same channel. I just want to separate, and get kind of an identity to each channel. Because I like doing both, but at a certain point, you don't even know why people are subbed to you. So you don't know why is this person going to watch this video because they sub for this. So I just kind of want to streamline that. So I'll put a video on the channel letting everybody know when the Destiny stuff will be moved over, which will be in the next week or so they can know not to expect it on this channel anymore. But outside of that, just playing games and working. But it's a great show, SloMo. You did a really good job with these topics as always, and master manipulator of all the topics where there's nothing to really truly talk about. I love it. It's amazing. And check us out on next week for DPS on my channel. I think we're just gonna have our emblem for what's name be the 10%.
You mean the
for the channel
emote?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
We have to talk about.
We'll talk about this later. This isn't stuff that we talk about on an outro, man.
Listen, we got to talk about this because people.
Okay, we can talk about this. after the show is
Okay.
what I'm saying.
We will see you guys next week for another episode of DPS Podcast, episode 83. Y'all have a good night.
Can I do my outro? I'm like, what?
That's just me telling them to have a good night from my side. That doesn't.
That is not what you were doing. Anyway,
That
look.
is what I was. I don't have control of the. I don't have a control of the end screen button.
Can I do my outro? Can I do my outro?
Yes, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. Jeez. Anyway, this is SloMoBackSlap. For my channel, I'm still working on my game engines video. That's now it's turning into a little bit of a beast. It might end up like my black hair in video games video right now. So look out for that soon. I'm trying to decide how I want to do this, but I think I might want to transition going live and playing games on Twitch to YouTube. And I don't know if it's more of just because I haven't really been going live recently due to work and other things, personal wise, that have been popping up lately. So I haven't really been going live on Twitch too often, but I'm seeing some changes with YouTube as far as them implementing things that Twitch does. And I know there are people who follow us up to me that don't rock with Twitch. And so I feel like the vast majority of the people that do rock with me on Twitch also rock with me on YouTube. So I kind of feel like it might be best to just consolidate all that, and I will probably go live on Twitch as well as YouTube and discuss that with everyone and see what they think and make a decision at some point, something to kind of solidify things. But you'll see that in the future. In the meantime, you guys enjoy yourselves, enjoy your games, and we'll check you guys later. Peace.
Pause. Don't really enjoy yourselves.
If people want to enjoy themselves, let them enjoy themselves, man.
Okay.
We definitely ending the stream now.
Yo, guys, appreciate you, man.
No, man, we appreciate you, man. Yeah, man.